Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
You are listening to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I'm your host, Alana.
And I'm Kelsey. And I was like, did something happen? That awkward pause. You looked at your door and I was like, oh, did her door actually open when the creepy, creaky door played in our intro?
No, but it was still ajar. And then I think Pat changed the TV to a different, like, the hockey game or something, because it just got, like, loud enough that I thought, can she hear that? Or did the mic pick that up? But
no,
no?
we didn't hear anything.
Okay, good.
I just saw you look over and we're like, I was like, is she being, is there an intruder? What's she looking at right now?
Oh my god, yeah, sometimes the door's like moving. I'm like, oh, that's my dog sitting his big rump up against
His
it.
butt. Yeah.
Oh my god. It's no, I can't even blame him. It was just me for leaving the door like just open the tiniest bit. Anyway, I'll leave it all in. Awkward pause.
Like
everything. Yeah. If we have the video, if only we had the video, I'd post that too. Oh my god, I can't record the video because it already everything takes up so much space on my freaking computer. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm always awkward. If you're new here, just be aware of that. So
I'm not much better, so
I don't mind. It's like in That's Why We Drink, they've been doing it for years, and then they're still like, wait, there's a lag. Please stand by. Shit happens.
Yeah.
And like animal interrupt us always occurs also. Which is
I've been trying to get Gordo to settle off screen.
Yes. If you're new here, that's her cat.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, baby Gordo. He is our baby, and he's very sweet, but he's also annoying.
He is. He was, as I was trying to bring everything in here to start recording, he was trying to attack my feet and trip me while I walked with my laptop and a hot mug of tea that I could have thrown at him.
Oh no.
It
definitely would have flown everywhere.
Yeah, I was like, why are you trying to play with my feet right now as I'm walking with all these things and I can't see you, but I can feel you like wrapping your little arms around my leg.
Yes. Sometimes I will call Fen Underfoot. Like,
yeah,
Aria Underfoot. Because as soon as you come home, that's when I gotta see what you're doing and get up to you. But you reminded me of when I took him for a walk today. I forgot how my shoes were trying to trip me with their laces.
Oh damn!
They're like these winter shoes. I think my mom sent them to me. Which thanks, Mom. They're really good, like comfy, cozy winter shoes with like a nice fuzzy lining. But they also have kind of those hooks like you get when you like lace up like an ice skate or whatever, and you start to put it through those like hooky thingies.
Yeah.
And like it has a couple like hooks going up the top of the shoe or whatever, but my one shoelace came loose, and then so it was like really loose, and it was like in this big loose loop, and it hooked like twice onto my other shoe. Like it was my left shoelace that was loose, and it it hooked onto my right shoe hook.
Yeah.
And I like almost face planted. I was like, fuck. I was like, fuck, I gotta fix my shoe, dog. Hang on. It's already freezing out, and now I'm like dripping. It's great.
Try not to face plant and knock yourself unconscious on the sidewalk.
Yeah, like let go of the dog. Which, oh my god, I think Pat slipped on the ice once, and I don't know how he kept hold of the dog, because he's a bit of a runner, that one.
So. Oh, yeah, he would drag you.
You
like getting
could.
pulled by a car.
Yeah.
Like, and off we go.
Oh man, yeah. Like when we first start going, and he wants to like go at a fast pace, and I have to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, don't slide
Yeah.
me along this icy patch or this slippery snow here, please and thank you. Oh
Damn.
yeah, it's bloody cold here still, so nothing's changed. But I don't know. It was Valentine's Day, and it's a long weekend, and by the time you're hearing this, maybe
Yeah.
it'll be warmer in Edmonton. I hope by Friday.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm tired of this minus 20 feeling like minus
Ugh,
almost 30.
polar vortex
Over it.
bullshit.
It's been a couple weeks. We thought it was over a couple times already.
I know. I was listening to Wine and Crime from like late January, and they were like, "It's freakishly warm here," and I was like, "Just you wait. It was warm here too in January. Like it was mild."
Yeah.
Yeah.
My birthday it was like, I don't know, like minus 10. We were just like, woo!
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, when we
That's
went out for
warm
it
in
that day.
January. Yeah,
Oh, because
that's
I thought your
warm.
actual birthday was pretty cold. I can't remember now.
I think
But it's
so.
been up and down. Oh, yeah. No, that day wasn't bad. Any hoozle. Spring is coming. The days are getting
Yes.
brighter. We're holding on.
Yep. Yeah, when I leave for work, it's much lighter out, which is always
Oh,
good.
right. I'm not driving home in the pitch dark when I get off work at like 5:30.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I
Buddy,
definitely
you
was
gotta
talking about
calm your tail.
this book I read where they're in Quebec, and they're like in the dead of winter, what they say to each other, I guess sometimes instead of like the sun is coming back is it is turning, saying like that the world or what is it? We turn to face the sun. Whatever it is, like the days are getting longer. It's like
Weird.
reassuring each other like that the seasonal depression is going to end soon. I'm like, man, Quebec has some interesting like traditions.
Yeah. The winter is not coming, but leaving. The winter is leaving.
Yes, it's the opposite of it's like spring is coming. Yeah. It is
Yeah.
turning. I found that
Wow.
quite quaint. Any hoozle. Did you watch anything good this week or haven't had time because you've been working?
Watched a couple movies.
Oh yeah.
That's Gordo's tail.
Did I
if
even
you
ask
can
you what
hear
you were
the
watching last
thwack,
time we
thwack,
went to
thwack.
record? You had to finish something. I guess that was all a whole week ago.
Oh God, what even? I was watching something. What was it? I don't even remember. No.
I didn't even ask you. Yeah. I was just like, okay, cool. We'll record like in the afternoon or whatever. And I was like, moving on.
Yeah, I know it was a movie. Because I watched like The Wrath of Becky, that like sequel to Becky. Did you guys ever watch that one?
Oh,
It's like
no, I think so.
I think in the first one she's like 14 or something, and these like home intruders break into her house and they think and stuff, and she like fights them off because she's kind of crazy.
Oh, sounds like a
Yeah, it
true
had
crime
just
podcast I listened to today.
yeah, it was made its way onto Netflix in the last few weeks, I think. So I watched that.
Okay.
It was pretty fun. And then
Nice.
been watching Severance. I like Severance TV show.
Okay. I could get into that. Where you have to watch
It's
it
so
on?
good. It's on Apple TV, but I've been downloading it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so good. It's
I've heard of that one.
Once you get into it, like take the first couple episodes and start getting into like the mystery of like what's happening and just following all the little details. It's really well done. Like Ben
I could
Stiller's
see
one of the
that.
directors, and
Yeah.
I think he's an executive producer and stuff on it. I know he's one of the directors because his name shows up at the end of quite a few of the episodes, and you're like,
Oh,
damn.
who is it? Sorry.
Ben Stiller.
Ah, okay. Nice.
Yeah. And Adam Scott's a main character. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say he's the one in that, isn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah. He comes on the How Did This Get Made podcast for all the Fast and the Furious movies, which is funny.
Yeah.
um yeah. Yeah, that one seems like it would be fun to play with those storylines because it's like almost like each person is their own unreliable narrator if they are not the same person at work and home. It's that one,
Yeah,
right?
well, they don't. Yeah, they don't know each other outside of work, and then
You're right.
inside work, they don't know who they are outside of work. Uh, so
Yeah,
they,
hard to wrap my
but
head
like
around.
neither version of themselves actually knows what they do for their job, which is interesting.
Cuts out that
Like
question on
the
date night. What do you do for work? No idea.
yeah,
It's a stupid
uh,
question anyway, right? It's like, oh, who cares?
yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. It's really really good. I
Nice.
can't wait to see the guy that created it, Dan Dan Erickson, I think his name is.
Okay.
I'll be excited to see because I think might be one of his first shows he's done. I'd be
Mm,
excited to see like what kind of other ideas he has once this kind of plays out and
yeah.
finishes off. I'll be like, okay, what else do you have? Because like this is so well thought out, and he's been playing around with it for like decades. It's yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they can really film some of that stuff really well nowadays with the not that you need a lot
Yeah,
of CGI, but just like how far we've come with storytelling and like mini series
yeah,
and different things.
yep,
Yeah, you get all these great
absolutely.
actors like on TV shows and stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna
What about you
watch
guys?
tonight. We can watch that Dark Match movie, which I tagged you in on Instagram, and
Okay.
then I
Yeah.
I found out it was like filmed here and with Chris Jericho, the wrestler and stuff. So, well, there's a few good people in it. Like one of the other guys, he's at what Stephen Ogg, I think is his name. He was on The Walking Dead. Big mustachioed
Okay.
man. Um, I thought he was Porn Stash from Orange is the New Black, but I just don't know my mustache man, I guess. No, it's a different guy, but
Okay. I
um,
remember Porn Stash.
yeah. So no, it looks pretty good, and like I don't know what else.
Nice.
We started. It was like a mini series with the guy who plays Jamie from Outlander. It's called The Couple Next Door. Um, Pat's kind of lost interest, but I'm like, I want to know what happens. I mean, it was kind of like there was a lot kind of like stuff about like sort of adulterous couples and stuff, as you can imagine, with a title like that. So
Yeah.
it's a bit like some of those parts are a bit boring, but I'm like, I still need to find out what happened with the perv that's been watching everybody through the telescope. And like, there's all these little subplots and
Oh.
like, you know, clues that they give you what's going to happen going forward that you're like, well, how do we get to that point? And so I still have to finish that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm watching Grace and Frankie. I'm like almost done that.
It
That's been
has
really
such
good.
a nice ending, and when it ended, I was like,
Oh,
oh. I was sad.
yeah, it seems like such a good show. And then she'll be like plugging it on old episodes of How Did This Get Made? Like the
Yeah,
girl who
that's
plays
sweet.
Brianna is in that. Yeah. I think they're doing a spin-off with her, I heard. Brianna's
That'd be
character.
cool. Her character
Yeah.
was so funny. She had like no filter. She just said whatever she wanted all the time.
Right. Yeah. Very different from like June's actual persona, where she's like she has
Yeah.
two kids, not like the younger sister. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting off into the weeds. We like TV.
Yeah.
And also read a fuck ton of books, and I need to bring my library books back and finish reading. I just got to the last one I have, but it's this giant book by that lady who wrote the Shadowhunter books, Cassandra Clare. It's like a
Oh
fantasy.
damn.
Yeah, it's a different fantasy world book that I just found at the library. So I'm gonna read that, and yeah, I don't know, man. That's about all I got.
Nice.
I guess we should crack into it.
Yeah.
for the people who are waiting with their bated breath or have maybe
Well,
skipped
they
forward
already
or
know.
turned off the episode.
They either read the episode title or the description.
Oh no, and I just mean they're waiting now for the stories. Like they're just like
Yeah,
on the edge of their seat. Like what's Kelsey
I
gonna
hope
talk about?
so.
I have no idea. You just told me the name of the person you're gonna talk about, and I don't think they came up in my like Googlings at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely knew of this person before, knew some of the stuff they had been involved in. Yeah,
Sorry.
so I was like,
I
oh,
heard
maybe
Pat.
Alana
Oh.
will know this person.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm excited if you didn't. I thought you
I
were
don't
gonna be like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
No,
oh.
I really don't think so. We talked about how like I might talk about a few inventors, but like I don't know. I was like
Yeah.
so many prominent like Black people in history, like notable
Yes.
figures that have changed the world, and like
Yeah.
probably they don't get talked about in schools as much as they should. Like certainly they don't seem to in our school system, and like I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Person I picked, they've definitely said like was kind of left out of like history for quite a while and is now more
Okay.
recently in the last couple decades kind of been like, no, like we need to talk about the impact that this person had on like programs and rights and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
I think that is
it's
definitely a
definitely
symptom
picked up
of not being a white
popularity.
man. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
like your stories don't get told as much. It's like the women throughout
until
history or any other minority.
yeah,
Like yeah.
it's like, oh, you died, oh, we'll finally acknowledge you did something like 50 years after your death. And
Right. Totally common
yeah,
theme,
ugh,
unfortunately. Anyway, so it's nice
it's
to
like,
now
but
hear
until
like
then,
podcasters talk about things that we haven't heard about. It's really our own
no,
taking back of the oral history of what we think is cool and important in history. So I like that, being able to tell these
yeah.
stories. Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoyed like just looking stuff up, not even necessarily about the person I ended up choosing, but just reading like all
Oh
the
yeah.
inventions and like scientists and politicians and people that made history in different ways.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, this is like nice, because sometimes you can get really stuck in um like the feels like the world is in a bit of like a backslide, like two steps back.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so I think it's always
Especially
nice to
lately.
kind of focus on stuff that's still happening and did happen. And you know what, even in the tough times, people persevered, and positive things still happened because people cared. So
Yeah, like to look at the history just a bit like uh, through the lens of course, hindsight's 2020, and history. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, but also to look at the
yes.
positive side of it and the things that we don't focus on as much as we freaking should. Yeah, definitely the people who didn't get their due. That's for sure. Okay, I'm excited because I have a couple of people like that too.
Okay, cool. Well, I picked Marsha P. Johnson, who it's really fun. I would have loved I didn't really run across any video interviews. I'm sure they probably are out there
Oh.
because she got interviewed a few times. I guess I could have tried to find one. Maybe I will when we go to do the post for the website. I'll try and find an interview.
Oh, okay, cool. So she was alive when
Yeah,
videos were around. Is
yeah,
what you're
not too
telling
long
me.
ago.
Okay.
So Marsha P. Johnson was a Black trans woman, later
Ooh.
a drag queen, and an important
Oh.
LGBTQ rights activist in New York City, primarily between
Oh.
the 1960s and 1970s. You might recognize her. She very famously was most of the time wearing a flower crown. Uh,
Oh, really?
a lot of the pictures, she's wearing beautiful like flowers or fruit. She had like fruit hats that she would wear as well.
Oh my God, like
I
the
feel like a
Chiquita
lot of
Banana
people,
lady. So sorry.
Yeah, I feel like if people saw pictures of her, they might like have in passing seen a picture on something if they didn't know
Oh,
necessarily who it was.
okay,
Yeah,
cool. Oh, that's really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those types of
Um,
activists don't get their proper day in the sun.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Gordo, you need to settle your shit down.
He's excited. He's like, "Bring! I want
He
to hear
is.
about
He
this,
keeps rolling
Mom."
on his back and spreading his legs. He's flashing me. Uh,
He's
what are you doing? He's all
it's
over the
his.
place.
I was gonna say he's honoring the topic. I don't know.
He's a
Oh,
wiggle worm. What are you doing? He's
right.
just like, "Ah."
Drag queen, you say? I can do sexy.
Yeah.
Oh my
I can
god.
put my leg behind my head. Oh
Oh my gosh. I still want to go see. There's that drag queen that performs locally here that was on the Canadian Traders. That if we get a chance to go, I'll have to look and see if we
really?
can like go see him
Fun.
perform somewhere. Yeah. Hey,
That
he
would be
followed me back on
fun.
Instagram. We're like besties.
Oh, nice.
Also, a bunch of people randomly followed me on Good Pods this week, it seems like. So then I was like, oh, I gotta
Ooh,
get back on Good
what did we
Pods and be like
do?
listening to things. I know. I haven't even really been on there a lot, so I was kind of surprised. So thank you if you are
Nice.
here, I guess. And also followed me on Good Pods.
Uh, okay.
Gordo.
So
We're trying.
I know
Okay.
I'm trying to get him to leave. Marsha was born originally under the name Malcolm Michaels Jr.
Okay.
On August 24th, 1945, in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And
Ooh,
she
Jersey
was the,
girl.
yeah, the fifth of seven children, so quite a big family.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
really
Yeah.
see anything talking about siblings, um, or
Yeah.
anything like that, which was kind of unfortunate. I'd like to know like how they feel like her legacy has kind of evolved
Oh, yeah.
and stuff.
Oh,
Didn't really
excuse
run
me.
across that. Their father was Malcolm Michaels Sr., a General Motors factory worker,
He
and
went.
their mother.
Sorry.
So, their mother was Alberta Kleilborn, and she was a housekeeper.
Oh.
So, like,
Alberta. Like the lady on Ghosts.
yeah, yeah, it's not a very common name. So when it comes up, we're like, that's where we live. We're in
Right?
Alberta.
It probably comes from some royal name Alberta or from Prince Albert because
So
holy fuck, Queen Victoria was so in love with her husband Prince Albert. She like mourned him for like 40 years. I will wear
yeah,
black until I
probably.
die.
It's a very cool color. We're with you. Uh,
Right? I mean, we have a city called Regina, which I think is also in reference to the Queen. So who knows?
the Michaels family was described as very religious and attended church quite regularly. And
Oh,
Marsha herself continued to be a practicing Christian for the rest of her life, like
okay.
from upbringing and everything. Yeah. Marsha, from a young age, about the age of 5, had begun dressing in clothing that was like more typical for girls, like dresses and that kind of things.
Okay.
Keeping in mind, this is like what at this time it would be 1950. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Right smack dab in the
and
middle where they don't dress the kids in any Victorian nightgowns anymore. And they're like, boys should dress like this. Yeah.
yeah. Her parents didn't support her decision to dress like a girl, and kids often would bully her.
Hmm.
And Marsha stopped dressing as a girl after I don't know exactly when this happened, but she was sexually assaulted by a 13-year-old boy at some
Oh,
point.
no.
Um like either as a teenager or a preteen, I'm not exactly sure. But yeah,
Because
that caused
maybe.
her to stop.
Oh, okay. Because it maybe
Yeah.
happened while, like, he was dressed as a girl or.
I think so. There wasn't ever any details. I don't think she really talked about it much, like
Mm.
publicly. Yeah. Uh, but she ended up graduating high school, and Marsha moved to New York City in 1963. She was just 17 years old, and all she had with her was one bag of clothes and $15.
Oh,
So
one of
just like
those.
got out of town. Like
Yeah,
just
starting
get
from the
out of
ground
there.
up stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Once living in New York, Marsha really was able to embrace her identity. She started dressing more in women's clothing again, which she hadn't been comfortable with for a while, and ended up settling in Greenwich Village.
Oh,
Um,
Greenwich Village. Yes.
yeah, is that what it is? Greenwich?
I think
Greenwich.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, Greenwich. I was like, are we in Agatha all along? Need a Greenwich?
I know it's all the like so many places along the East
Yeah.
Coast too. Like we were just talking about Canada uses a bunch of names that are like so from the British, like Queen Street, King Street, like Gr- Greenwich
Yeah.
I'm sure is a place in the
I
UK.
hate that. I want
Yeah.
everything to be numbers. Make it easier. Make everything numbers.
I know that is kind of nice about our city where you can kind of like every
It's
street
half
doesn't.
numbers, but then half not.
We live where the streets have no name.
Yeah.
You two
Where
was
the
right.
streets have no name.
That's funny.
During this time, she was earning some money working as a waiter, but her
Okay.
primary source of income ended up coming from sex work.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean,
Get it, girl.
uh, unfortunately, as I think is pretty typical, she often faced abusive clients. And then because of the time in like the 1960s, was arrested dozens of times. And then on multiple occasions, had like guns pulled on her and stuff by
Mm.
clients. And apparently once she was even shot. I
Oh,
don't have
wow.
any more details about
Oh,
that. It was
shit.
only mentioned a couple times.
Just a casual in
After
passing. She got shot.
yeah, after the first one, I was like, because I only saw it once somewhere, and then I ended up researching another batch of articles and stuff I could find, and then I saw it mentioned like two more times, and I was like, okay, well, I was like, that's three sources that have said she was shot.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Annoying when they don't give more information.
Yeah, because like most of what I found, what do I have, was biography.com,
Oh, yes. They
women's
came in handy for
history.
me. Sorry.
Yeah, I had women's history, newyorkhistory.org, and then like Legacy
Ooh.
Project Chicago. So they were all like, I was like, okay, like pretty good
Yeah, those
sources.
all sound like websites I could really dig into.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so because of this, like Marsha wasn't able to afford a permanent place to live during this time and would have been described as homeless. She often was able to bounce around between friends' houses and sleep there. She would
Mhm.
also sleep in hotels, restaurants, and movie theaters as well.
Oh. I never thought
Yeah,
about grabbing a nap in a movie theater. I once slept in
I've
an
heard of
ATM
that before.
vestibule. It's a lot. Anyway, we've come a long way, baby.
Yeah. I
Sorry,
mean, I've heard about
moms.
the movie theater again thing before, but I had
Yeah.
never thought of sleeping in a restaurant. Uh,
Yeah, how does that work?
but I'm not sure.
It's like laid down on one of those bench seats some in the
I
booths
guess
and just made yourself invisible. Yeah. Or they hide in
maybe
the
if you have,
oh, the
maybe if you
toilets.
had, oh, probably, or if you have a friend
They
that works
hide.
there, it could be,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
Um, but it said that she was really happy in New York. She tried like a few different names and everything before she legally settled, and ended up changing her name to Marsha P. Johnson. and that was in 1966, so 3 years after she moved to New York.
Is that your phone?
Yeah, I was like,
Oh.
why is this on?
That's funny. I know, mine like is constantly going off being like, snow is expected to stop soon. Temperatures will be lower tomorrow. I'm like, shut up. I don't care.
Thanks for the minute-to-minute like weather report.
Oh, totally. I'll think I have a text message because it'll do the same notification noise. And I'm like, this is not as important. Yeah.
Gotta turn off those notifications. That's annoying.
Yeah. There's got to be a way.
Yeah. So it said that her last name Johnson came from the restaurant chain Howard Johnson. I feel like
The
I recognize that
Hojos.
name, but I don't know anything about it. What kind of restaurant was it? Were they fancy?
Not really. I remember my mom worked at one that
Okay.
was like part of a hotel, like in a hotel, I think. Kind of like when I moved
Okay.
here, I worked at a restaurant hotel. And all I remember, honestly, I don't remember the restaurant. I remember the hotel had a swimming pool that I think she snuck us into once or twice. Speaking of
Nice.
sleeping at restaurants, yes. It had like, the rooms were all kind of around in like a courtyard, sort of around like what do you call it, an atrium, where it's like the first
Yeah.
floor is open going up to the rest of the floors, and there's like balconies all around. It was like that, and it had a little cool swimming pool near the restaurant, and I have fond
Nice.
memories of the Hojos there. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's where she got her last name.
That's funny.
And
Wait, she just picked it?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she got to pick her whole name. I kind of like that. I like,
right.
I'm all for people going by their middle names or changing your name. I think there's something special about like getting
Right.
to pick your name.
And it's interesting because when I get to see stuff like that is when I do help out with the Alberta healthcare applications at my work,
Yeah.
because I know how to do that, but most of the time it's not my main job. But then I'll like see what everyone's naming their like new baby, or I'll see that someone's doing like a gender
Oh,
change, and then they'll be doing a name change
yeah.
update at the same time. So I get to see like what their old name was and what they picked for their new name. It's really interesting. I really like it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, so she was like became known for her head turning fashion,
Oh, girl.
particularly outlandish hats, flower crowns that were like fresh flowers that she would pick and like weave into like these cute crowns. And
Oh, like a Mayday
like
crown. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And glamorous costume jewelry. Which is cool. Gordo, you can't be meowing and trying to find out where I am. You literally left the room that I'm in. And I'm like, where are you? I lost you. I can't find you. Where are you?
I'm definitely picturing like Bob the drag queen from this season of The Traitors. It's giving so many elaborate outfit vibes, and I love it.
Yeah, but make it 50s. Or I guess 60s.
Ooh, yeah. Damn. They had their episode last week, the challenge, they got everyone dressed up in like these red and black mostly like outfits, but they're all like real fancy, and they all had to team up in a couple, and they're gonna get married. But then the challenge was that they have to hold hands in this box where they like drop scorpions and stuff on their hands. And they have to like hold hands for like 8 minutes. But everyone looked so good. Oh my god, the veils and everything were just like, oh. And Alan Cumming was like the host there. He's like so gay and so awesome, and he's like wearing this white suit with this big like red flowery applique thing up the front, and like he was wearing a veil, and he was just so extra. I love him so much.
Yeah, he would literally be the only reason I would ever watch that show. Like,
Yeah, it's worth it. Just fast forward through the stuff you don't like.
It would be everything other than when he's on screen. Like, I hate reality TV show, like burning passion. I hate it. I just
yeah, I'm particular about mine. They have to be like, for me, they have to be certain kinds where they're just not all drama. So it's really good. It's kind of a mix of, yeah. Anyway.
Uh,
Moving on.
so yeah, Marsha was described as fearless and bold, and when people pried her about like her gender or questions about her lifestyle, uh, she started kind of like repeating this thing. So she would tell them that her middle initial, the P in Marsha P. Johnson, stood for pay it no mind. And it became
Oh.
like her motto anytime somebody asked her, like, who are you, like a man or a woman, or would
Mm-hmm.
ask her whatever, she'd be like, pay it no mind, like none of your business. Like,
Yeah, what do you care?
which I like.
What's it
Yeah,
to you?
right? Especially if people are doing it to be rude, not because
Mhm.
they actually are interested or
Right. Which, to be
want to
fair, is
learn
almost always, unless it's a
about
little
it.
kid, like literally
Yeah.
being like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Because, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was listening to a podcast, The Handsome Pod, and they're like, most of them are gay girls, comedians, but then they, like, their little kid was like, looked up at their mom in bed and was like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" To like the comedian, her name is Tig Notaro, and she goes, "Well, what do you think?" To her son, who's like 7 or something. He was like, "I think you're a boy." And she's like, "No, I'm a girl." "Okay, but you look like a boy." And she's like, "Yeah, you're probably right." It's
Yeah.
so cute.
Right? You like can't
Yeah.
argue with that logic.
No, and it's just nice how it just like doesn't matter as much nowadays. Like people are so much more accepting, even though we do still see a lot of stuff about how
Yeah.
people aren't. But I think, there's a lot more to be said for like how far we've come than the few people who still, think archaically or whatever.
Right? Trying to drag us back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
But even in the Stone Age, like trans and gay people existed. So like what's your fucking argument that what you didn't have to acknowledge that they existed? That's what you somehow miss about society, that you got to
No,
pretend they
there's really
didn't
no
exist.
argument to
They
say
still
that.
existed. Like
Yeah, certain types of people don't exist.
yeah,
Ugh.
like it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to
Um
pretend that assholes don't exist, but I can't because they're
right.
everywhere.
And the shit that comes out of them, no.
Exactly. It comes out of their mouth. I did.
uh,
Oh, anyway, I can't remember what it was. It was like, there are dicks and there are
hey,
pussies in the world and there are assholes. And it was like this whole joke thing about some of us shit all over the place and other ones, I don't
Gordo,
know.
knock it off.
Gordo is Bordeaux.
He's trying to scratch the blinds and like break them.
Um,
Yeah.
just like can't stand when he's not the center of attention. That's my dog.
Um yeah, so apparently this like motto of saying pay it no mind, she even reportedly once said it to a judge who like must have asked
Oh.
her something she didn't like. Like none of your business. I was like, damn, I like that.
They're like gavel gavel, contempt of court. Yeah.
Yeah. She found strength in being forthright with people, and kind of used this like I don't know, like strength that she had to speak up for others that were having problems or anything like that.
Yeah, sounds like she kind of like lived by example too. Just someone to look up
Yeah, I
to.
think so.
Also, icon.
Um, and obviously, like today, historians and former friends of Marsha describe her as a trans woman, but during Marsha's
Okay.
lifetime, the term transgender wasn't commonly used.
No.
So Marsha herself is quoted as saying described herself as a gay person, a transvestite, and a drag queen, and that she used she/her
Yeah.
pronouns. So
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
might have used the wrong one. I apologize for that. Yeah, that makes sense. There was like even like 20 years ago, I think transvestite was
yeah,
still more. Because, yeah, I remember reading a book where it was just kind of when we were starting to, yeah, get more used to just the word trans in general and not.
yeah. Like there's still like TV shows and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff that um
You're
I
like, this
mean
was the
as
90s.
times
Yeah.
yeah, I mean as times evolve and everything too.
So
Evicted.
it was just the immediate way you had to jump up. It's like when the dog
Oh yeah,
starts
he
barking and
break the blinds.
oh yeah. They just have to be dealt with sometimes. You get it.
Yeah. So in Greenwich Village, there's Christopher Street that was like the hub of the city's LGBTQ community in the 60s.
Okay.
And yeah, there was like clubs and all that kind of stuff. So this is where Marsha found joy performing as a drag queen and
Aw.
got into that part of her life. Yeah.
Nice.
She designed all of her own costumes using items that she would find in thrift shops and pieces of which sometimes were given to her by friends, and she would like make into an outfit.
Oh, cute.
Right? These drag performances allowed her another means of income because sometimes she was getting paid for it, and it also
Oh,
like
nice.
led to her becoming more prominent in the community. And she became what's known as a drag mother, like kind of mentor to
Oh.
others. And she also started really helping other homeless and struggling LGBTQ youth around her,
Wow. Cool.
and stuff. Yeah, like really started like uplifting people with her, even though she didn't have much herself.
Well, isn't that always the way? It's the people that have the most that
Right?
are like, we could give all, but we don't, because for
But it's
whatever
too
reason,
hard.
yeah, or like the person that has had nothing knows exactly what that feels like, so they are more committed to like giving
Yeah.
something, even if it's just a little bit. Yeah.
So according to her nephew, Marsha always maintained a close but like fraught relationship with her family that was still back in New Jersey.
Mm.
I didn't really run across much more about the family other than that, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I hope to think like her parents had a change of heart, because it said that they didn't approve of it or anything. So I like to hope as like I don't know, like transgender and that kind of stuff became more like talked about in
Yeah.
society and everything, that they like learned more about it, and hopefully they had like a change of heart, and everything.
Right. Hard to know what
But
their relationship was like, but you would hope that at least
yeah,
with the parents or some of the siblings who would be much
right, I
closer
didn't
in
run across
age, yeah, would be more
anything about the
accepting.
siblings.
Mm-hmm. Well,
um
that's fair. There
so
probably wasn't a lot reported on.
yeah, there was also something, I don't think I kept it in here, that said
Oops.
that sometimes Marsha would like revert back to her original identity,
Mm-hmm.
which was Malcolm. She would start going by Malcolm Michaels,
All right.
um, periodically, and that it was almost like a different persona that she would put on. And her
Okay.
friend said that like she was more aggressive and like violent, and that kind of stuff when she was being Malcolm. It was kind of
Hmm.
confusing. I didn't really get into a lot because I didn't run across a lot that like talked about it. So,
No, but
but
that's okay. That's kind of interesting. I mean, obviously it is, but
yeah,
I was just like thinking, yeah, maybe sometimes they were tired of people always judging them and was like, fine, maybe I'll get more in touch with my masculine side again. How do you like it? And
yeah,
like just a way
nothing
to
wrong
kind
with
of
that. You
deal
can
with
go
something. Yeah.
back and forth like I think a lot of people do now. It's like how you kind of feel in the day and that kind of stuff.
Right, because like,
Um,
isn't it with most of the drag queens, it's like maybe you have like you obviously have a preference as to what your pronouns are in and out of drag and stuff, and
yeah,
or like just because you're a drag queen doesn't mean you're necessarily a gay guy or whatever. Like you could identify as something different, or I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So much more nuance now.
Yeah. Um, Getting into, because I ran across this, I didn't know much, I guess, about Stonewall, like the Stonewall riots
Oh
and stuff,
yeah,
but
heard of it, but neither do I.
yeah. So Marsha, I guess, was one of the many protesters at the 1969 Stonewall riots.
69,
Uh,
nice.
it the riot started when a regular raid on the Stonewall Inn, which was a gay bar, or I guess, sorry, is a gay bar on Christopher Street,
Oh.
led to authorities arresting the patrons, most of whom were gay men on really questionable charges. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they were handcuffed and publicly forced into police cars that were outside of the bar. And what I didn't run across was something that said although New York State downgraded sodomy from a felony to a misdemeanor in 1950, prosecution of gay people and the criminalization of their activities were still common. And same sex dancing in public was prohibited. So that's why the bar was like often targeted. Um,
Wow. Can't
and
believe
the
they
state
enforced
liquor,
that still at that time.
right? The state liquor authority banned bars from serving gay people alcoholic beverages. That sounds
I
like you're trying
mean,
to
they're
get rid of like 2/3 of your demographic. Like, I'm sorry.
yeah. And
How
she's
many of those are your customers?
doubly discriminated against because they're like literal race segregation is still very much
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
a thing that they're just getting out of at that time, I guess.
Yeah. It also said that people could be charged with sexual deviancy for cross-dressing.
Mm,
So just like, yeah,
yeah.
whatever they wanted to arrest her on, or like people that were at the Stonewall Inn, they could do whatever they wanted basically. If you were in there, they could
Damn.
say, "Oh, we saw you dancing with so and so," and they could be lying or they could not be, but like, who's gonna argue, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's rough. I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about that. I probably would have said, does it have something to
Right.
do with someone named Stonewall Jackson? Isn't he an American guy? I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I did not know it was the Stonewall Inn. Hmm.
Yeah, I knew it had to do, like, it was from named from like its location, but I didn't really
Okay.
know exactly what it was.
No.
So the at the time, like the arrests are happening, the LGBTQ community is obviously fed up with their treatment at the hands of the police, and they decided that this is their moment. They're going to start fighting back during these
Okay.
very public arrests. Um, so like this has been called like riot or rebellion, protests, even an uprising.
Mm-hmm.
But this like moment between LGBTQ protesters and police took place over like several city blocks. Like it didn't
Okay.
just occur in that one area. It was like kind of a larger area, and it lasted multiple days. It kind of like popped in and out,
Wow.
and yeah. Keep in mind at this time, Marsha, who's only 23, uh, is, I guess, often incorrectly credited as throwing the first brick of the riot, but this has since been
Uh,
disproven. She didn't throw the first one. I think I had
sure.
heard that before too, and like something else. Um,
Okay. Well, if you get kind of a famous figure and kind of a famous event, they're like, well, maybe those
yeah.
two were really correlated. Yeah. Okay.
Um, I don't know how true this is either. This is said to be like more true than her throwing the first brick. That Marsha and her friend Sylvia Rivera arrived around 2 a.m. on June 28th during the riots, and later described the scene and said that quote, the place was already on fire and there was a raid already, and that the riots had already started. So saying like they weren't there
Oh.
for the initial like kickoff of it.
Okay.
Um, continued saying, we were just saying like no more police brutality, and we'd had enough of police harassment in the village and in other places. That was told to historian Eric Marcus in a 1989 interview. I think that's Marsha. And though, according to the National Park Service, which oversees the Stonewall National Monument, witnesses, like I think multiple witnesses, saw Marsha dropping a heavy object on top of a police car during the riots. But I also ran across other stuff saying that that wasn't true either. So I'm not really sure. But she was there.
Oh. Wait, and they're at the Stonewall Monument? Is that...
No, this is like the National Park Service, which oversees the Stonewall National Monument. There's a monument to the riot. They say that Marsha was witnessed dropping a heavy object on top of a police car during the riots.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah. But no matter her like level of involvement, she's still considered to be obviously a key member of the uprising and LGBTQ liberation movement that was really like kicking off in the US. Yeah. I can hear Gorda like wow, wow, wow at the door.
Mom, mother.
It's not like his food or water's in here. He doesn't need in here.
Oh, they're so silly.
So the next year, I guess the first gay pride parade took place.
Okay.
Yeah. Right?
So like 1970-ish?
Yeah.
Oh. And now they're trying to get rid of it all. We're fighting back.
Like, you had this. Yeah. Let's have another uprising. Come on. Let's do this. Somebody.
Apparently we have to.
I was just going to say, somebody dropped something on a police car, but I'm sure we've done that plenty of times.
Yeah. Vancouver had a riot when their hockey team lost, so we're just as crazy sometimes.
Yeah, so the first gay pride parade took place the next year, and activists were able to start channeling like their frustrations with like police and inaction and all that kind of stuff by helping and supporting one another, and really starting to work together to form these gay rights groups to really like fight back and start fighting for their rights.
To
which
party.
Is good. Like
no. To party dressed like they wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
It's totally awesome though. I love it.
Right? They'll always trying to stop you from unionizing and making groups and your right to
power in numbers.
Yeah. Like your right to gather and try and make change. Yeah, during this time, I guess Marsha joined some gay rights organizations that were starting to form. But she did notice that particularly people of color and then also like trans people and their concerns were not being considered or focused on as much as like their cisgender members were. At the time and even now, like Black and trans people were more likely to be homeless or targeted by the police or like have a threat of violence against them.
She's very sad for statistics. Yeah,
even now it's like ridiculous.
Very hard for minorities, not to mention like double minorities or triple minorities or whatever you want to call the people that live with several stigmas.
So like after she really like noticed she was like not really being considered in these groups properly, or when she was trying to voice concerns they weren't really listening or it wasn't a priority to them because it didn't affect enough of them. She really began speaking out about like the transphobia that she was experiencing, even from like her own like LGBT plus like
Right.
community was even
Mm-hmm.
like not really listening to her, let alone the rest of the country.
Totally.
Yeah. So in 1970, Marsha and that friend Sylvia Rivera decided to establish the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, or STAR,
Aw,
which,
cute.
yeah, they're like, you know what, we're going to make our own fucking group. And they were committed to helping homeless transgender youth in New York City. And they also helped to advocate for transgender rights and provide shelter and other resources to LGBTQ youth. I think I saw something. It was like particular people that have been like displaced or disowned by like their family
Okay.
for being transgender.
Oh.
Yeah, just like the most vulnerable.
Yeah, totally.
So Marsha and Sylvia had met not too long after Marsha had moved to New York back in 1963. Marsha was just 17 at the time, and Sylvia was 11. So,
Aw. Okay.
yeah. Sylvia is Puerto Rican, also transgender, and the pair had become really fast friends and like kind of supported each other. Rivera later said Marsha was like a mother to her, and that she was the one who really encouraged her to love herself and her identity, which I thought was nice.
Yeah. That is nice.
So I have a bit from the nyhistory.org site. It said that the first Star House was in the back of an abandoned truck in Greenwich Village. Nearly 24 young people called the truck home. And Sylvia
Wow.
and Marsha hustled every night to make sure their new family had breakfast each morning. I
Aw.
guess it was on one morning they returned to the truck just as it was pulling away with Star residents sleeping inside. Apparently, the truck was not abandoned after all, and as they watched their quote-unquote kids jump from the moving truck, Marsha and Sylvia realized they needed a real home.
Oh my
And
God.
it was like,
It's being
oh
towed?
damn. I think I don't really know. I think they thought it was abandoned, but it wasn't actually abandoned. Maybe somebody just really liked their parking spot and were like, I'm not moving it.
Oh
So,
my God.
yeah, after this happens, it continues saying they rented a dilapidated building with no electricity or running water, and they started fixing up the building. They paid rent for nearly 8 months, and when they could no longer pay, they were evicted.
Oh.
So they were doing the freaking best they could. Like,
Yeah.
they were really
For
trying.
sure.
Um,
That sucks.
it also said as the gay liberation movement became increasingly white, middle class, and cisgender, STAR, their charity, reminded everyone that transgender and gender non-conforming people deserved equal rights too.
Mm-hmm.
This really, like, made me mad. It said when the organizers of the Gay Pride Parade tried to ban STAR, they showed up anyway. Just like, fuck you for trying to ban them from showing up to the Gay Pride Parade. Like,
Wow.
yeah, that made me mad.
Okay. Not only straight people can be bullies. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Oh, I've heard so much about, like, yeah, you get a lot of homophobia from people within the LGBTQ community. It's like insane.
What? Well, it makes no
Yeah.
sense. Oh,
Yeah, it
boys.
can be just as bad sometimes as um what people can experience. It's the same thing. You're not gay enough. You're too
You're
straight.
different. Like, you're just different. You're not exactly the
Biphobia.
same as
Yeah.
me or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that's
You don't
so
you
great.
don't fit into my little cookie cutter definition of what this word can mean, so like fuck you.
So
Like,
stupid.
yeah, it's insane
Oh.
to me. Yeah, it's like what were you guys fighting for in the first place then? Like
so that we could ostracize within our own group from the
Yeah.
inside. Yeah. Oh my God.
Um, yeah. Through Greenwich Village, she was known as Saint Marsha,
Aw.
and locals admired her ability to truly be herself. Marsha had a
Yeah.
reputation for being generous and kind. She often gave people clothes and food, even though she had little of her own. And despite her popularity, Marsha also lived a life of poverty and danger. And I don't know how many times, but she was arrested over 100 times. I think I ran
Oh,
across a quote that said like,
wow.
"Honey, I stopped counting after the first 100." I was
Yeah, I
like,
guess you
damn.
would.
Yeah, like
Ugh.
Jesus.
Notches on the not the
Mm-hmm.
bedpost, but somewhere.
Yeah. Uh, in an interview that Marsha did for a 1972 book, she stated that her ambition was, quote, to see gay people liberated and free and to have equal rights that other people have in America, which I
Hell
like.
yeah.
She also said she wanted to see her gay brothers and sisters out of jail and on the streets again. And then in another interview, she said, as long as gay people don't have their rights all across America, there is no reason for celebration. Which,
Yeah, I agree.
right? It's like,
As long
yeah,
as
like if
everybody
you're
doesn't have
still,
all their full rights, then we should be a little bit sad.
right? And trying to help people.
Hmm.
Uh, so even after Star disbanded, Marsha continued to fight for LGBTQ rights and helped homeless transgender youth. She ended up attracting the attention of Andy Warhol. Ever heard of him?
Oh. No.
Um,
Andy Dick? No.
yeah, right. Campbell Soup, what?
I
Marilyn
think
Monroe.
that's
Uh,
the one they always like redoing everything.
those
Like
are
that
the
episode
two.
of was Supernatural when they're like in the meta episode where they're actually playing the actors that play themselves. They pretend that
Ah,
Sam's like Jared Padalecki lives in a house where he's got the Andy Warhol like portraits of him
yeah.
and his wife that works on the show.
Yeah.
And you're like, so pretentious, so full of yourself.
Yeah.
So funny.
Uh, Andy Warhol, like, obviously, was in New York. And
Oh yeah.
Marsha even modeled for him, I guess, for a series of prints back in
Oh,
1975 that was
cool.
entitled Ladies and Gentlemen. It was like a whole series, not just her, like a bunch of people.
Right.
Um, and she wasn't named. It wasn't until like years later that it kind of came out that the picture was her. Uh, but because none of the models were named in the whole series, that wasn't really what it was about.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, um, and she continued through this time to keep performing as a drag queen. Even joined a drag group that was called the Hot Peaches. That sounds fun.
That's funny.
I've been like peach flambe, hot like peaches and ice cream. That's what I want. Yeah, doesn't it sound good? If it wasn't so cold outside, I'd be like, ooh, ice cream.
Literally why just every like podcaster I listen to, or at least 50%, I feel like sometimes they start talking about food and then they're all like, I'm starving. I was like,
Yeah,
at least I just ate
because
supper,
we're
so at
doing
least
this
I'm
shit
good.
after we were. Yeah, we're doing this shit after work. We're all
Yeah,
tired and
so
hungry.
yeah.
uh, yeah. Next was 1980. Marsha was invited to ride in the lead car of the Gay Pride Parade in New York City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Marsha also helped advocate for more resources to combat the AIDS epidemic during the 1980s. Um, she joined ACT UP, which was a prominent organization at the time, and I think it became like more relevant because in the beginning of the 1990s, Marsha tested positive for HIV.
Oh no.
Uh, yeah. And in a June 26, 1992 interview, She spoke publicly about her diagnosis and really encouraged people to not be afraid of those who were sick.
Mhm.
I can't remember when Princess it was Princess Diana, right? That like went to the hospital and
Yeah.
really
It's an
removed a lot of
iconic
the
moment.
stigmatism. Yeah, like
Holding
barehanded, like
hands with one
hand shaming people.
AIDS
Yeah,
sufferer. Yeah. People were so awful at that time about it.
yeah.
Ugh.
Um, yeah. I'd really like to like read this June 26th interview, and that was 1992, because it's
Mhm.
what, like not even a week and a half later, that on July 6th, 1992, I read in some sources after the Pride Parade. I don't know if it was immediately after or like later that day or maybe just the next day or something, but Marsha's body was found in the Hudson's River off the West Village piers when she was just 46
Oh.
years old.
Oh shit. Wasn't
Mm-hmm.
expecting that.
Right? I wasn't either. I don't think I really heard much about this when I saw her pictures
This isn't our
before.
true crime episode, is
I
it?
know. I'm gonna make it one.
Okay.
We gotta raise awareness. Uh,
Oh, damn.
um,
So young.
her death, right? 46. Like fuck.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, her death was initially ruled a suicide. Throughout most of her life, she had struggled with different forms of mental illness. And like struggled with her mental health. She had experienced a series of mental breakdowns and multiple stays in psychiatric hospitals in the 1970s. And
Hmm.
but at the time of her death, her friends and family maintained that she was not suicidal. So,
Yeah.
uh, but it
Not the
was
only way you
said
end up
that
in the Hudson River. Yeah.
at the time, 1992 was said to be the worst year on record for anti-LGBTQ violence, according to the New York
Oh.
Anti-Violence Project. So,
Wow.
yeah, I
It's
would hate to see the
unfortunate.
statistics now, because the
Hmm.
population increases tenfold, then what also increases tenfold? The assholes. Um,
I could see
they
the
seem to,
AIDS thing having a lot to do with it, though. That really
yeah,
put a terrible stigma on
absolutely.
being gay, especially being male and gay, I would say. Oof.
Yeah, just anything. Um, yeah, anything they could like use as an excuse. I think they probably did.
Mhm.
So the circumstancing surrounding her death continued to lead people to ask questions, and later that year, her cause of death was changed to drowning, from an undetermined cause.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't like that at
Um.
all.
Yeah.
She just
Again,
decided to
this.
pull a Kramer one day and start swimming in the Hudson River.
Yeah.
Like, I don't buy it. Ugh.
Yeah. I kept trying to like. I even tried Googling what the day of the Pride Parade was in 1992, because it seems
Mhm.
like now it's mostly in August, at least here in Canada that I could see. It's like the end of August. So this said July
Oh, even
6th.
though
So
Pride Month
like,
is June?
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's
Oh,
stupid.
we had a weird random barbecue at my work last year that I thought was like, isn't this too late in the summer for Pride? And maybe it was in August. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing we were doing.
Um, yeah, they do it. We do it weird here in Canada.
Who knows?
Um, but yeah, I think it seems like um yeah, she was like targeted or
Most
um
likely.
stuff. But her funeral, like she was adored by the community. It was attended by hundreds of people inside the
Wow.
church, and then there was like crowds of people that were waiting outside, like all along the
Aw,
street. Yeah,
that's really nice
yeah.
and sad.
Right?
Mhm.
Thanks to the dedication of those around her, an investigation into her death was finally started by the New York Police Department in 2002.
Oh,
However, because
10
of the
years
10 years,
after?
yeah, right? Finally.
Wow.
Because of this, like, waiting 10 years, like, they had no evidence or clues to investigate. Like,
Because of whoever
they had
ruled it was
nothing.
an accident and knew that they were buying tons of time. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know.
Or they just didn't
Yes.
care.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that
But
sucks.
because of this, her death remains unsolved. So fuck that.
Oh, God.
I hate it. Right?
That's a bummer.
Hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have too much more. This is more like legacy stuff that's happened since her death. There is Victoria Cruz, a crime victim advocate from New York City Anti-Violence Project. She ended up doing her own examination, where she spoke to coroners, police precincts, and Marsha's friends and family. And her research formed the basis of the 2017 Netflix documentary, The Death and Life of Marsha P. Johnson. I didn't have a chance to watch it, but I do want to watch that.
A documentary. Yes.
Yeah.
It's always
I always like
interesting to
when they
hear
can
stuff from
talk to, like,
people's point of view.
when they're friends and family, like people that
Yeah.
actually knew them, not just supposed experts or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like. For decades, Marsha's contributions to, as an LGBTQ activist were overlooked. Her story, like, finally coming to light more recently in the last, like, I don't know, I'd say 15 years or so, 15, maybe 20 years. Her story was also covered in a 2012 documentary called Pay It No Mind, Marsha P. Johnson.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah, and the 2017 short film titled Happy Birthday, Marsha, which
Oh.
dramatized her life in the hours leading up to the Stonewall protests. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Pay it no mind. I love that as a
Yeah, I like
mantra.
that. I do too. I really like it. Yeah, it's so much better than, what does your middle name sound? D for danger. No, it's P for pay it no mind. Mind your own business.
Right.
I like that.
Pay it no mind is my middle name. Yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine? Just filling out birth certificate. Pay no mind. In 2015, in 2015, the Marsha P. Johnson Institute was established. I can't talk anymore. Its mission is to defend and protect the human rights of transgender and gender non-conforming communities, which is nice.
Yeah, that's important.
In 2019, New York City announced that Marsha and Sylvia Rivera would be the subject of a monument commissioned by the public arts campaign She Built NYC, which I think is
Who
cool.
was Sylvia?
Sylvia's the one that was at the Stonewall riots with her and was like her friend,
okay.
and they did the STAR organization together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
The monument would be the first in New York City to honor a transgender woman. And I didn't see, like, that one. I don't think it's built yet. Maybe COVID really delayed that guy, but
Boo.
yeah. In 2020, the state of New York renamed its East River State Park to Marsha P. Johnson State Park.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is, like, the one that I got a picture of on the drive. It's in 2021, writer and activist Eli Ehrlich partnered with a sculptor and other organizers and created a bronze bust of Marsha that sits at the New York City's Christopher Park near the Stonewall Inn. And it looks,
Okay.
I'd have to see other pictures of it. Maybe that like just the public have posted, but it looks like she has, I don't know if she has a hat on or what, but it looks like people weave flower crowns and like change them out constantly on her bronze bust. So it has like all
Oh,
these
okay,
different flower
cool.
crowns
Oh, I like
of
that.
like fresh flowers, it looks like, but I'd have to see other pictures to like confirm if it does look like they're different all the time.
Oh, I'm trying to have a look. Oh, okay, yeah. I think I see the flower crowns now. Just like it's like changing out like the
Yeah.
flowers on a grave. That's really sweet.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it's a beautiful crown. I love
a
it.
crown of flowers.
Um,
Flowers.
yeah. I do have a couple quotes. One of them is I may be crazy, but that don't make me wrong. I liked that.
Nice.
Like, yeah. This one's also very popular. I was nobody from Nowheresville until I became a drag queen.
Aw.
Yeah.
Aw. That's really good though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
that's a
many
good.
years has it taken people to realize that we are all brothers and sisters and human beings in the human race? I like that one too.
Yeah, well said.
This last one I really like too. History isn't something you look back at and say it was inevitable. It happens because people make decisions that are sometimes very impulsive and of the moment, but those moments are cumulative realities. Which I thought was cool.
Just takes a few brave people, yeah, sometimes to get the ball
Right?
rolling.
Yeah. I feel like people
Damn.
do say that, oh yeah, of course somebody would finally come along and change whatever, or of course that was bound to happen. It had to. Like, well, why do you gotta look at it that way? Like,
Yeah, when injustice happens, we hope that somewhere along the way it's like, well, we're eventually going to
yeah.
figure it out, right? That slavery is wrong and all these other things. And you're like, well, but it comes in fits and starts. Like it's very slow. Progress is very slow in
Yeah.
general. Ugh,
Yeah.
but
But,
anyway, that was amazing.
yeah.
Really good
Well,
job.
thank you. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna go watch like any of the documentaries I can because I would love to see
Yeah.
interviews with Marsha and like family and friends. I don't know what happened
Same.
to Sylvia. I think I
Hmm.
saw something that used like said she was whatever. So yeah, I don't even know if Sylvia's alive anymore or not. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean,
But yeah, hearing from her friends and family, I think, is the most important thing when you're like people that were actually around somebody if you can't talk to that person directly.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she could have still been alive today if she hadn't been, probably murdered or
Right?
whatever.
Yeah, most
Like, that's
likely after
interesting.
what I'm assuming is the fucking Pride Parade, which
Yeah.
really sucks. They talk about like
That would
upticks
make a
in
lot of
violence and
sense, though,
everything.
if it was a hate crime.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they talk about always like being careful, taking like public transportation or anything to and from like pride parades and all that kind of stuff,
Sure,
because you can
safety
get
in
targeted.
numbers
It's
can always help.
yeah.
Yeah. That's really
Yeah,
sad.
right.
Well, happy Black
Yeah,
History Month. We'll have a quick break. All
right.
right.
And we'll be back.
I gotta go pee and cry a little. No.
Right? Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's rough. But really good job. Really good job. I did not know. So
right.
now I know and I want to know more, which is, I think, the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about her the first time a couple years ago, and then when I started kind of looking stuff up, I was like, you know what? I already know about her. I would like to take this opportunity to learn more, which is always a
Yeah.
good thing.
I love when I learn about someone new from a podcast. I'm honestly like, "Pfft, okay, sweet. Like,
Yeah.
I would not have learned about this person otherwise, probably.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Autumn's Oddities is a strange and unusual podcast made by The Strange and Unusual, me, Autumn Gruby. Each week, I'll be taking you through some of the creepiest cases true crime has to offer. It won't only be true crime, I'll also be covering cryptids, haunted places, haunted things, and the true stories that inspired horror movies. Listen every Monday and Friday for new episodes, and remember, if it's creepy and weird, you'll find it here.
I don't know what he was doing. There's nothing out of place, but it sounded like he played with a door stopper. It went. "Ting."
It was rather loud, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it was because I don't see anything.
Oh my god.
And
It's
he
a
was on the counter.
mystery. Well, we're recording
buddy.
now, so if he gets into any other monkey business, we'll at least have a.
Then I have proof.
All right, welcome back to everyone but Gordo, who needs to stay out of the room
Yeah.
and stop making loud noises that we can't explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did sound like he jumped on something, but we're still not sure. So you guys have cats?
I don't know. It was
Let us
weird.
know. Yeah, but yeah, he likes to knock stuff over too, doesn't he? I thought, oh, maybe like, didn't you have to lock up the compost bins so he wouldn't knock it over? The
Oh
little
yeah.
countertop one.
When I use it
Yeah.
in the summertime, I have to put a rubber band that goes all the way around it because he would open it and like dig, like crawl through it. He was obsessed with it, even if it was empty. Like just in
Oh.
love with, I don't know, the smell of rotting compost. She loves it.
Like the way dogs love to, roll in dead things. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Pardon me.
I don't
All
know,
right.
he's doing,
Well,
like he's doing parkour off of the walls. Just heard
probably.
thud. Jesus. Buddy, can you just come in here so I can at least see you?
Got the zoomies about it. He's super pumped to hear my segment, is what it is.
I think he is, yeah.
What's next, guys? Well, now we're going to talk about a couple of famous, or not as famous as they should be, African American inventors.
Nice.
Yeah, I think only one I might have actually heard of, and that's the first one. I'm going to talk about George Washington Carver. Not that George Washington.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I know him. Wait, no, I don't.
Add the Carver. Now he's black. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't know he was black.
Oh, a lot of things people think they know about George Washington aren't true either. He did not have wooden teeth. Wood did not make for great fake teeth material, people. He had
I can
slaves'
just
teeth and other
imagine.
things. Don't you worry. It's even grosser.
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
Right. Um, no. But that's a different fun fact for a different day.
Gross.
Oh, I know, so bad. But this, there is a lot of people with the last name Washington, as I guess we'll kind of come to find out. But this guy was a revolutionary American agricultural chemist, agronomist, and experimenter, which we'll get into. And what I did forget to get into or look up was what exactly an agronomist is, but I guess we'll all have to Google it. It's
It sounds
got
like
the most.
agriculture economist.
Yeah, and that's his wheelhouse. So I think it definitely has to be
Yeah.
in that same vein. I would also call him a chef, food product developer, and marketer, because that was a lot of what he had to
Oh,
do. Also, I
wow.
found.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd heard like him maybe once or twice on a podcast, but it's one that I definitely never heard about in school, even though he seemed to have had a pretty big impact. Um, he was born around the Civil War era, so about 1861, they think. But since he was born into slavery, the records are not well documented of those births. Go figure.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like even the women in history, they might just get referred to by the men's names, their husbands' names. Sometimes it's like
Yeah.
we're not as important. Mm. So, but we know he was born near Diamond Grove, Missouri, and his mother's name was Mary, and she was owned at the time by a man named Moses Carver. So that's where we get the Carver
Okay.
from. Yeah. Like I guess George Washington Carver's father was supposedly killed in an accident shortly before his birth. So he didn't know his dad, unfortunately.
Okay.
Just born into a little log shanty on the property of the masters or
Wow.
whatever. Yeah. So during the Civil War, like when George was still just a little boy, because we think he was born around 1860, 1861-ish, the Carver farm was raided and he and his mother were kidnapped.
Damn.
I know. It's like crazy right out the bat. He was eventually recovered and brought back to the farm, but his mother was actually never seen again, very sadly.
Jeez. I mean, getting brought back to the farm probably wasn't great either.
Well, they did at least nurse him back to health, so I can't say I can think that they treated their enslaved people that badly, because they did seem to care about the poor little boy that was now an orphan, you know? He continued even living with the Carvers after the war ended in 1865, so he still would have been really young. I don't know if he was 4 or 5. He spent at least another 5 to 7 years with them, leaving when he was around 10 to 12 years old. Maybe he didn't even know how old he was. I don't know. That time I heard a weird noise on the other side of this wall. I'm wondering if it happened upstairs. Did you hear something?
I keep hearing. Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, that was weird. That wasn't me, I didn't think. Oh my gosh. We're all paranoid. This is what paranormal podcasting does to you. Ugh. But yeah, that was kind of his sad part of his upbringing. But he was very determined, this little boy. He left to obtain whatever education he could, through whatever means he could, I guess. Ends up in a place called Neosho, Mississippi. Oh. Wait. Did I mean to say Missouri? I definitely hate abbreviating them because then it gets very confusing. There's too many.
Yeah.
I
try not to abbreviate anything.
I know. I was like, did I mean Missouri? Because it's only about 8 kilometers or 8 miles or 13 kilometers away. Anyway, So we're still in the South, where he's boarding with a black family called the Walkens. They were Mariah and Andrew Walkens, who housed him, and Mariah taught him some herbology or botany while he attended a small school for African Americans in the area. So he's learning whatever he can from like whoever he can, really.
Yeah.
He's
That's
definitely
good.
very, yeah, he's independent that way, I guess. Resourceful. Unfortunately, he quite quickly outpaced his own teacher's knowledge because the teacher at the school himself was black and, you know, not very educated, of course. So that's when George Carver decided to move on to learn what he could on the go. Whether he's like,
Okay.
yeah, he's going to wander through the forest and learn from nature directly and, you know, keep going on with his basic botany skills and herb stuff and drawing pictures of plants, but also taking odd jobs and stuff. Oh, and he had learned
Yeah.
like about the like the botany stuff, the different trees and plants and whatever from Mariah Watkins and Sarah Carver. So both of the like rather mother figures in his life after his mom was gone kind of taught him, which was really nice. And he enjoyed not only drawing plants but landscapes. So I think he kind of maybe
Yeah.
was a good artist. And yeah, I enjoyed that part.
Just like, I don't like people. I like plants.
Right? It does sound
And-
like kind of a do your own thing, go your own way upbringing.
Yeah. And then like, people did me wrong. Fuck people. I paint only
Right?
trees
Or
and
like
grass.
like they would call them what, naturalists mostly at the time, if they were just into studying nature and stuff. And
Something like that.
they were not always very what is it? Extroverted, maybe.
Yeah.
But George seems like he was a fast learner, very handy. He's able to do odd jobs, working, laboring, cooking, doing laundry, which I gather at the time was not an easy task because they're like stirring it in those big
Yeah.
pots and stuff. Which
Yeah,
I
and then
always
you had
laugh.
to like actually wring it out yourself. You didn't just pop it in the dryer.
Yes. Always makes
You
me
like
laugh
had
when they
to
reference.
squeeze and twist the water out yourself.
Oh, yes, because they reference Claire not liking doing it in Outlander. It's like, yeah, because probably by the time you're in the 1900s, we actually had like washing machines, and she's like, doing laundry by hand? No, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't want to. So yeah, he seems very handy and everything. He got himself more education, like a high school equivalent. It seems when he was in his
Okay.
20s. Yeah, I'm not sure how, like if it was a GED or what, but
Yeah,
said-
I wouldn't have even thought that they had that type of program.
well, yeah, because the only thing he had before this was a small school for blacks
Yeah.
by blacks that like he already outgrew. So yeah, I'm not sure how he got the high school education, but then I know he was initially accepted by a college in Kansas that he applied to. So he was elated, just like really excited about that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when he arrived at the place called Highland College, they saw he was black and then refused him entry, like on the spot.
Ugh,
So that was really shitty.
that's so stupid because he literally got in.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
that means he had the grades and had like
Oh.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was about that at the time. I remember a similar story where this girl applies to like an all male academy thing that's like, oh, we've never allowed girls in. But I think she went by like Sam Smith or something and like got in based on her
Yeah.
name. And then they couldn't, she was like, what the fuck, you let me in? You can't just be like, I can't come in. But like she's faced so much, you know, acrimony and
course.
flack. Yeah, that is like, she was basically ends up having to leave it anyway. Oh, it so sucks for those first pioneers that paved the way. Like it's so hard
Yeah.
for them. It's rough.
I'd have been like, okay, guess I'm wearing like pants and Speaking in a deep voice every day.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh God. Over the phone, sure, I could pass for a man. Sometimes in the morning, I get on the phone. I would say I have to talk to my brother, and he'd be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I just got up. I just sound really, rough. Leave me alone." um, although I did have a lady tell me the other day that I was talking on the phone to her, which she thought was very amusing, and I thought she was so cute.
Aw.
I was like, "Oh, was I? I guess I just was like, all right, let me have a look," or something like that, where I had to say something while I'm looking up their information so I can help them.
Yeah,
Oh, she was
you get used to
cute.
just drawing stuff out a little bit longer, so there's not as many
Yeah.
awkward pauses.
It's your customer service voice. I totally remember someone
Yeah.
telling me at the bakery I worked at that I had a phone voice. But yeah, this was funny because it was the first time I had someone tell me that I was like speaking or something. I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that is funny.
yeah." But she was super nice and was like, "Wait, what was your name? I'm gonna leave a review." And then she was kind of like a bit of an older lady and was like, and what's the best way to leave a review? Who do I talk to?" And I was like, "Oh shit, like maybe like a Google review?" That's what a lot of people do. And then I was like, "I guess I'm not very helpful at telling you how to give me a review." And she was like, "Well, no, you're not." And like laughing with me. She was just the cutest. I
Yeah.
was like,
I mean, I
"Oh."
guess that is hard. Like, who do I get in contact with?
Oh, I know we get emails about Google reviews. I don't know if we have a Yelp. I was like, "I'm sure there's a contact us page." She was like, "I have, young adult children that can help me." I'm like, "Cool."
I just picture them be like, "Okay, Jim, help me get on the internet. I need to leave this review for Alana. She was very nice." And then
I was
she's just
talking
like,
to the
"Ugh."
AMA. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
hilarious.
sometimes humanity's good. Oh gosh. Okay. Okay, high school education. That's about where I got to, I think.
Yeah.
He made his way then to Iowa, where he met the couple called the Milhollands, a white couple who he befriended, and then they encouraged him to try applying to Simpson College in Indianola, and he did.
Oh.
You have no idea how hard I had typing out things, and then I couldn't type Simpson, and then I couldn't like Indianapolis. No. So he applied, was accepted, and got in. That's the important part.
Yeah.
um, and this time he was able to study, I guess, piano and art. I assume among other things, but that's what it mainly said he was able to study, which I thought was cool.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Like anything, I guess. This is really good when you couldn't even get in before, too. But then he was able to more specialize and get a bachelor's degree in agricultural science upon transferring to the Iowa State Agricultural College in 1894. So old.
I had an agricultural college. Wow.
The amount of times I had to write agricultural, let me tell you, it was annoying.
You're like, no. Agro.
I just want
Agro.
I just wanted to write aggro, yeah. Then he got a master's of science in 1896. So like he's just killing it academic wise. She's yawning. Oh no, I have to keep her in.
No.
I know. In the fall of 1896, he started as director of the Department of Agriculture at the oh gosh, I never know how to say this one. Tuskegee it's called the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute.
Normal?
Normal, capital N. This is the name of the school.
Cool.
It's amazing. which at the time was headed by another notable Black history figure called Booker T. Washington. Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
I think I had to, but I also was like, wait, Booker T was a wrestling guy who probably took his name from this guy.
Probably.
Yeah. So this Booker T wanted George Washington Carver quite badly because he was the only, at the time, Black person in the USA with a graduate degree in agricultural science. Pretty cool.
Okay.
Right?
That's pretty cool.
It's a flex. He was conducting experiments in soil management, crop production, and directed an experimental farm. And the crop that had been produced in the South for a very long, long time had just been cotton. And I guess we know now that if you don't rotate or vary your crop types, it can kind of just make the soil itself very like stagnant and not good. This is
Yeah,
my
you have
aspect
to
of it.
you have to rotate the crops because different crops require different nutrients out of the soil. So if you're always planting the same thing, it depletes the soil out of that nutrient and it never has a chance to
Right.
like go back up in like that nutrient level. So if you rotate it, then like you're not ever like really fully depleting the soil of any of its nutrients
Oh, it makes sense.
as much, I guess. That's like my understanding of it, at least.
No, totally. That's what I thought too. And when you put it
It's
like
pretty
that, I'm like,
cool
no.
though.
Right. Because you're like,
It's why
yeah,
sometimes like they
using the
plant
same ground.
you're supposed to plant like two specific crops like side by side because the nutrients that like one
Right.
of them might give off are the nutrients that the other one needs, and then or it like wards off certain
Yeah.
type of pests or insects with like
Like
pheromones or whatever.
they work well
It's kind of
together.
cool. Yeah, it's like a whole science to it. An
No, it is.
agricultural science.
And when we started getting our little backyard garden here, I remember Pat looking up and seeing something about how to plant what the natives here called like the Three Sisters, I think. It's like corn and maybe like squash and beans or something that are two different or like three different vegetables that grow quite good together almost in the same row.
Yeah.
Like they like almost have a symbiotic relationship. I thought it was very cool. I don't know.
We always grew beans. Beans was always like really easy to grow. When I was young, and then we sometimes did carrots and lettuce. But yeah, beans, potatoes, zucchini.
We're trying.
That kind of
half
stuff
a backyard
wasn't too
thing
hard.
going. Yeah. Zucchini, yeah, that we really had some good results with that a few years. It's like,
yeah,
holy, look at our girthy zucchini. But yeah.
yeah,
It's definitely fun to like experiment and try and see what you can get growing. It's interesting. So it would definitely cause problems if you didn't rotate your crops. It would suffer from erosion in the soil. So that's when they had the ideas, or George, I guess, had the idea to plant more varied crops, especially peanuts, soybeans, and sweet potatoes were the three top ones, I guess.
Ooh.
I know.
They love their sweet potatoes in the South, don't they?
Right? I think so. They would restore much needed nitrogen to the poor soil.
Yeah.
The poor soil.
That
But
poor
also,
soil.
yeah. Every time I say poor, I think of it's his name on Letterkenny, Wayne. But also provide protein for the diets of the people. So it was like a twofold thing.
Yeah.
And the crops grew very well. This was a great result. But still, the public was leery to buy a bunch of peanuts and stuff they were less familiar with. I mean, they've been growing so much cotton forever. That's all anyone bought, I guess.
And what are we supposed to eat? The cotton?
Yeah, what? Like, do they not think about growing other things?
No.
Not long term, I suppose. Since the sweet potatoes and peanuts seem to be the best sort of growers, he set about to market and make those a household item.
Did he
he's
invent
gonna-
peanut butter?
Not the original one, no, which was kind of funny because I
Okay.
ended up learning that, mentioning this topic to
think
Pat,
it-
and him being like, didn't Canadians invent peanut butter? And he was kind of right.
Oh.
I hate to say it. No. But this
was
guy
like,
made like peanut everything else.
Reese's peanut butter cups. Thank you.
I kept thinking of there was an episode of Live Laugh Larceny where it was like fall time and he was talking about how people like pumpkin spice everything, and he made this song
Peanut
that was
butter.
like pumpkin everything, pumpkin everything. And I kept thinking like peanut everything. It was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, peanut butter everything. Peanut butter ice cream.
No,
That's
seriously.
all I can think of.
Okay. This is what I remember hearing about him from other podcasts, that he created 300 different uses for peanuts and their derivatives.
Wow.
So many. And like,
Is that like
not the
you can
things you would
shrimp,
think
you
of.
can grill it, you can broil it, you
Yes.
can
No,
put
it
it in a
totally
stew.
made me think of that, especially because the guy, isn't that the guy from Forrest Gump who's like, Baba Gump, shrimp
Yeah.
cocktail, shrimp this. And he's a black guy too. Yeah, it's very much like peanut. They made milk, ink, flour, dyes, food products, plastics, wood stains, soap, linoleum, medicinal oils, and cosmetics. I mean,
Damn. Sucks for anybody with a peanut allergy. Can't touch anything.
I almost wondered if they, like, because it ends up being such a big crop, I'm like, did they make peanut allergies worse? No.
Yeah.
They're also responsible for making sweet potatoes, aka yams, very successful.
Ooh, thank you.
Mm,
Not that I
they
eat a
are
lot of
good.
sweet potatoes, but
Sweet potato fries with some like
yes,
dill
I love
dip.
some sweet potato
Ooh.
fries. Ooh, yes.
Ooh, bitch. So good.
I gotta get back on the sweet potato fries. It's been so long since I had them.
I
Oh,
used to serve at a restaurant that sold them, and I was like, oh, I do like these. Not something I
yeah.
always order, but you know. All right. He made up for the sweet potatoes 118 different uses.
Oh, only 118. He's slacking
Only.
now.
Right?
Was French
Such
fries one of
as-
them? Fries.
Oh God, no. That's too pedantic for him. Pedantic.
You can get
Oh, God.
crinkle cut, you could get shoestring, you could get pub style, you could get wedges, you could get restaurant style.
Don't get me started on the fries. No. The way my office orders Arby's by the bulk, it's unhealthy. Those curly fries, I don't know. They have a hold on people.
Yes.
Okay, but like such as they made flour, molasses, ink, a synthetic rubber, and postage stamp glue, all out of sweet potato products.
Ooh.
It's insane. I'm
Postage
just like,
stamp glue, you lick it and you're like,
how?
yams.
Right? Wait, the peanut ones? I literally listed some of my favorite ones because it's like, none of this makes any sense to me. You're just like, well, nowadays, I guess, yeah, because you get Beyond Beef burgers, but I feel like he was just like, take anything, make it peanut. So
Crush it, now it's sawdust. Woo.
Ugh. Oh, terrible. Okay. By 1974, so like not that long ago.
100 years later.
Wait,
I guess 80 years or so.
I don't know. He's still alive. I know that. I think. But
He can't be still alive now. He would be.
No. At this,
Okay.
at the 70s, I think he was still
In the
around.
70s. Okay. I was like, God damn it. He's so old. It's the oldest thing.
Oh, God. Wait, which guy? Oh, because this is the one that, yeah, he was born in the 1860s. So yeah, no, we'll go progressively onward, but he's the oldest one, yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, okay. Well, now I'm getting a little confused on my timeline, but I know he lived a while, and by 1974, what was called it's called the boll weevil, I guess.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yep.
Okay. It's spelled Boll, but I looked it up and it's pronounced bowl. And that had
Yeah.
almost ruined cotton growers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think I have that date wrong? It's possible I do. I literally typed up all my notes from my handwritten notes today, being like, "We're gonna record tonight."
Yeah, I didn't give you much notice, did I? I meant to text you yesterday.
Well, it's about that time of the week where I'm like, I know we need to start recording, so like I knew.
Yeah.
But we've been a little busy at work too. Anyway, the boll weevil had almost ruined cotton growers at some point, let me say. So he went public with his experiments as it was seemingly the ideal time. And then I wrote, after all, we wouldn't want another Dust Bowl of the 1930s, would we? Which was a period of dust storms and drought in the drought? I can talk. I hate those words. That affected the prairies in the US and Canada. Have you ever heard of them? I remember hearing about the Dust Bowl from time to time. Yeah, it's like apparently our soil was so bad that we were just getting like dust storms and shit. Just like not good.
Yeah. And there was like no moisture, anything.
No. I don't know if we hadn't been rotating the soil crops, like, or what, but
no, they didn't. They yeah, I can't remember what it was. We learned about it in school. There was like a couple different things that like contributed to the soil, and then it like,
oh yeah,
economically they didn't know like that it wasn't sustainable, that if like your crops failed like one year that you could just be ruined, you know?
Oh yeah, it was so dicey back 1800s, 1900s. I remember I would read the Little House books, and then when they Little House in the Prairie, and they're like, and then a storm of grasshoppers came along, and you know, like biblical times, locusts ate everything. It's terrible. Oh God, excuse me. Sorry. Okay, it's just burps. It's not hiccups.
That's good.
Yeah, the way everyone else in this house gets hiccups. So Southern farmers started planting the peanuts, yams, and soybeans that George Washington Carver recommended, and the industry had started recovering, which is really cool. At the beginning, the peanut was not even like considered as part of a legit crop to plant. It wasn't even on the list, basically. And then 50 years later, it was one of the 6 leading crops planted throughout the USA. So that was a pretty cool rise.
Nice.
I know. Oh, let's see. I gotta go down. I think I read something about in the South alone, it was the second biggest cash crop after cotton or something like that. So it was doing pretty well.
Yeah, people realize how good peanut stuff is, and
not just cotton.
Yeah.
Something we could eat.
Yeah, let's plant actual food.
Especially after war. Holy shit. That always is terrible to farms because they just like soldier, groups. That's not what they call it, but squadrons or whatever. Yeah, they'll come in and they'll like well, we got to keep feeding our army, so I guess we're eating all your food. And you're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Terrible. His goal was to lift up all people, starting from the bottom up. He would say he wanted to
Yeah.
help the man farthest down. Yeah. Very nice.
That's why I will never understand trickle-down economics. You will never fucking convince me it's legitimate. Doesn't
Yeah. I can see the argument when people say a rising tide lifts all boats, but some people are just so much more financially independent and further than the other people that I'm just like, I don't know if the gap.
If you gave a rich person $10,000,
yeah.
do you think they would spend it if they had $90,000 in their bank account? Probably not. But if
No,
you
are they
gave
going to spend it back
10
on
people,
you or the community? Like, no.
yeah, if you gave 10 people $1,000, how likely is that to immediately go back into the economy through like buying food, buying clothing, or what? Probably at least half of them immediately, if it's not going towards bills, are gonna buy something right away. So, like, which one stimulated the economy, huh? Like,
yeah, the stories we
I can't
see.
understand it.
Yeah, where people just have a little bit, but what from little they have, they give back. And we just see that so many times. Again, like in your story and stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, most rich people get rich through like exploitation and loopholes and all that kind of stuff. So like, why do you want to give them more money? Because the off chance maybe one day you too might be rich. Like, what are the chances? How about you try and how about you, if you really voted for somebody that was gonna give you money, like they could give you money now. Why don't you want money now? You would rather bet it on more money in the future, like that you're probably never gonna see. I'd rather get more money now, or less
Let's
money
not
now.
leave the wealth with the powerful elite that have always had it. Yeah. I'm cool with that.
Clearly, it hasn't worked. Like,
oh yeah, like people think they'll be happy with a certain amount of money, and yet they just get greedier.
Nope.
Seems to be all right. Well, we are trying to talk about those few that inspire us. So,
yeah,
a little bit more about Dr. Carver here, because he was a doctor. He really fought for that education.
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
and he brought it to the people. Right?
Yeah, he really did. It said, took a holistic approach to knowledge, which embraced faith and inquiry in a unified quest for truth. Carver also believed that commitment to a larger reality is necessary if science and technology are to serve human needs rather than the egos of the powerful.
Yeah.
Love him.
So true. Yeah.
His belief in service was a direct outgrowth and expression of his wedding of inquiry and commitment. And that was a quote. If you couldn't tell, that's not how I really talk. But very enlightening, I found. So I included it.
Yeah.
Also, one of his favorite sayings was, "It is not the style of clothes one wears, neither the kind of automobile one drives, nor the amount of money one has in the bank that counts. These mean nothing. It is simply service that measures success."
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, totally. He's like, that doesn't matter. Commercial things. But like, oh, it's so very like true. It's true today, even though we might not say automobile, but like it still rings very true. The university website there that he worked for, that was one of my sources, said he had a favorite poem called Equipment by Edgar A. Guest. I did read it. It's on the website. It was beautiful, but I did not include it for length. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know me. Sometimes I go long. But he recited it at his commencement address at Selma University in Alabama in May of 1942,
Okay. That's pretty cool.
which I had made a typo and said it was Salem University. I was really trying to type things and then just like type in completely the opposite things. Like, what is wrong with you, fingers? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I did something when I was typing my notes. I can't remember what it was, but it was, I think I realized it like 30 seconds later, and I looked back at like the word I had typed and was like, wow, that is not at all what that was supposed to be.
And that
I can't
spell
remember
check
what it
didn't get you
was.
and be like,
No, because it
grammar?
was still a word, but it was like a totally different word.
Right.
And the
Okay.
yeah, spell check wasn't like, this sentence makes no sense. It was like, oh,
Spell
that's
check
fine.
was like,
You can put that there.
"We
Yeah, sure.
think you know what you're saying?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's a word. You're good. Not been like, I'd recommend clarifying this sentence. It makes no sense.
Yeah, one I had earlier, I tried to write up and then I just wrote the letter U and I don't think it flagged it as not a word. And I was like, wait.
The letter
Is that
U?
just- Yeah, like bad texting words like, how are
Yeah.
you? Are you?
Ugh.
I don't know.
How are you?
How are you?
Later.
Later. Oh, but I did have a funny, like, a group of vehicles I was processing earlier this week. They had personalized license plates. One was, I haunt you. And I was like, oh, you're cute. I love you. Oh, what was the other? Oh, one was like, no pulse. I was like, wow, you're really into this. And I couldn't wait to see what their third one
Got a
was. And
whole theme
although
going.
it was a theme, yeah. That one I couldn't process because they had something incorrect on it. But the plate, when I sounded it out, was frighten you. But it was like FRI, like fry, and then it was like the number 10, and then you. It was a tough one because I couldn't see it with the spaces and
Frighten you.
if it had
Yeah.
any. Yeah, it was. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, okay.
That's cool.
People be creative, and sometimes they get away with
Yeah.
semi-sounding sexy ones where you're like, they're supposed to be like vetted, and if it's too gross, they're supposed to be like denied. So it's weird. The things I get through.
Yes, somebody's getting paid off on the inside of it. Like, let that one go.
I know. There was one the other day where people were like, what is it hard for you? It was something that sounded like weirdly dirty. We're like, okay. Surprised that one went through. Anyway, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Let me finish George Washington Carver, which was only my first guy. He had some interesting and some of my favorite of his products that he made with these peanuts to get them selling. Like I said, I'm not going to list all 300, but there were some interesting ones. Like salted peanuts, again, not that, hard to make. But he invented something, I think it was peanut butter regular number 3. So it was like a type of peanut butter. And
regular number 3?
I believe so. And that, because Pat said something about Canadians inventing it, I did look it up and have a fun fact in just a minute about who might have made number 1.
Oh, he made the third peanut butter? Is it crunchy?
I think so.
Did he make the crunchy butter?
It's something like that. It's like the third patented one or something. Because he also made breakfast foods 1 through 5, even though they kept interspersing them in the list. It was like breakfast food 1, peanut butter. Breakfast food 2, peanut something. I was like, okay. So you made a bunch of breakfast foods.
Peanut butter pancakes. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, like I don't know how these patents work, but they're like all specifically different. It's like butter from peanut milk, pancake flour, peanut surprise, malted
Peanut
peanut.
surprise.
I know, that
That
just
sounds
sounds
like
like a
It sounds like it comes from
casserole.
the candy aisle. Like,
I think it's some sort of casserole. I don't know. That one I did
but
not
can you
look up.
imagine being in like the 18 whatever and just hearing about peanut surprise for the first time? Like, that's not how you named anything back then. Peanut
No, I
surprise.
don't
That's
know.
like some shit they do now where it's like whatever.
I guess. Although, oh, I've been tempted to follow some YouTubes where they do the like old ass dishes from like war times. I'm like, oh, that's probably where
Jello.
some of our weird dishes come from. Yeah, it's like, here's an onion with peanut butter cooked, and you're like, wait, that wasn't a thing. It
Yeah.
basically seemed like it was whatever you had in your cupboard.
Yeah. Because you were broke. I'm going to make tomato soup. Okay, we have boiling water and we have packets of ketchup. Now we have tomato soup. I'm like, oh, great. That's depression food, okay? That's what they ordered in restaurants. They would ask for a bowl of hot water and they would whip out a packet of ketchup. And that's how they made soup.
Ooh, I could see that though.
Because you could
No,
get
my
a bowl of
depression
hot water
food-
for free at a restaurant. So you would just
Mine
bring your
is-
own ketchup. Now you had soup.
No, I have one. My mom's mom would make the tuna plus mushroom soup mix over potato
And rice.
chips. Also, I've
Oh.
learned it's delicious over rice because I had a roommate that ate it over rice, so I knew I wasn't the only one that had ever tried it. But it does seem like a very depression era. Like, you have 2 canned things and a carb in your cupboard. What do you do with it unchopped to make a dish? You know,
Yeah.
it's
No
terrible.
vegetable. We
Yeah,
don't need it.
you
We don't pretend in this house. We can't afford that. No
Oh
vegetable.
my god. Oh, I'm sorry. This one was so fun though. Okay, yeah. So he like came up with all that peanut surprise,
Yeah.
malted peanut bisque powder, chocolate coated peanuts. Can't say we haven't all tried those.
M&Ms.
So good. My favorite kind of M&Ms. I can't stand the real M&Ms, but the peanut ones, oh, I'm into it.
See, and I don't like the chocolate covered. I don't like peanut M&Ms. I like the regular ones.
Do you like Smarties, which are basically the Canadian M&Ms?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like either of them. They're just candy coated chocolate. I don't know. I don't like it.
That's all it needs to be. It's candy.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay, that wasn't the end of it though. Chili sauce, meat substitutes, peanut cakes 1 and 2, dry coffee, instant coffee, wait, that's not a real word. Chop suey sauce, that's what I was writing. Mock oysters. Joy.
He made instant coffee?
I don't understand. But yes. And apparently these are all still the peanut products.
Huh. Does it taste... Can I get peanut butter instant coffee, please, right now?
I
would
have
like to taste
no
it.
idea. I was very
And then
confused
I also need
about some of
chocolate
it.
instant coffee, and then I can mix them together, and it's Reese's peanut butter coffee.
I mean, honestly, yeah, the cocoa plant, I can see them both being involved, but like, it starts getting out there to which I'm like, are you making this with only peanuts? Because I don't understand. When they get to the mock oysters, the mayo, the Worcestershire sauce. I'm done. This is insanity. Like, peanut meatloaf was one of them. Just so you know.
Oh no.
Yes. It's like the original Beyond Beef, I think.
Yeah. That's impressive, actually.
It is, though. I'm like, what were you doing? Shredded peanuts. Okay. Now you're just chopping them different.
Shredded? They're so little. They're so little. How do you shred that?
That was one of the
grated peanut butter?
patents or whatever. I don't know. peanut sprouts, peanut bisque powder, cooking oil. He apparently made salad oil and mock meats that included mock duck, goose, chicken, veal, and then curds, vinegar, peanut pickles, or peanut relishes. I'm sorry. I lost my place. Sausage,
I think he's
peanut,
just adding peanuts
popcorn
to stuff and then
bars.
being like, can you taste the peanuts? If you can't taste the peanuts, they're patent hit. Now the peanuts magically hidden and you need to keep putting
There's
peanuts
peanut
in there.
I swear. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally
like,
see
oh,
it.
I invented something. No. It's probably not what
No,
happened,
because
but I like to think of it.
they literally make things that I'm like, does this even make sense that you can make this product with only peanuts or with mainly
It's not with
peanuts?
only. Yeah,
It
it's gotta
can't
be
be
like
with only.
a significant
No.
ingredient, but it can't be mainly. Other than maybe the oil, like peanut oil. I think it's
Oh, and that's
probably
because you haven't even heard the tail end of this product
he
rant.
makes a car, an airplane out of peanuts.
I mean, some of them were
A peanut-
almost equally unbelievable to me.
A peanut tank, a peanut house.
Well, the cooking oil, the laundry soap. Wait, did I say that one? Okay. Caramel, butterscotch, sweet pickle, something called capital G golden nuts,
Sorry.
which I can't get over. Something called cheese cream, which I don't know if that means it's like cream cheese. Please, somebody
With
research
peanut?
it. All of these
Damn.
ones are apparently the peanut derivatives. Like, I just
That's
don't
wild.
understand. I'm not even done.
There's 300
Almost.
days?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Jesus.
And they had like quite a few categories listed on some of the websites.
Like Jeopardy.
I tell you, well, some of them said things that don't make sense to me in the context still, such as cheese, pimento.
Isn't that an olive?
From what I understand, like a pimento loaf.
Or a
Yeah, it
bean?
was like a
Yeah.
meat loaf that has pimento olives in it.
Huh.
Cheese nut sage and
No.
tutti frutti.
Tutti Frutti.
It's so very 70s. Don't ask any more questions. Cocoa, pickles, laundry soap, peanut orange punch, peanut kumis beverage, normal peanut beverage, and more. And
And
those were just some of my favorites of his apparent peanut inventions.
I like how it wasn't just like, here's the peanut oil, here's peanut milk, here's peanut as a
No.
powder. It was like, here's all the things you can put it in.
I know. I thought that was like a
And then
really
proceeds
modern.
to like list off like everything you could
Yeah.
possibly make in your diet. And then be like, but you can make it with peanuts. Don't forget the peanuts.
Right? Like nowadays we're like, oh yeah, there's lots of vegetarian options. But this guy was like, wait. You guys don't want to grow
Everything
cotton
needs to contain
anymore?
peanut.
Yeah, let me show you what you do with peanuts. Just crazy.
Let me show you the golden
the golden
something
nuts.
nut. Like,
Literally, that was like capital letters, had no explanation. I was like, I have no idea what this means. I love it. I cannot not include it. Well, not being true to
Damn.
myself.
That's wild.
It is, and honestly, that one was so funny. Yeah, I had he was the one that there's like, I would say the most about of his influence on
Yeah.
American history and stuff. But he was literally like my first guy. I had 8 pages total. He took up maybe 4 of them. So you know what? That's fine. But okay, I think we can fit in some about this other guy who was called Garret Morgan.
Okay.
He again, someone probably not most people have heard of, but was significant. He did some things. He invented some stuff. And he was a Pisces, born March 4th, 1877 in Paris, Kentucky. What up? One of 7 children. That sounds
damn.
familiar.
Yeah.
They just kept popping out kids then, didn't they?
Yeah, and invented peanut condoms yet, I guess.
Oh man, they did
Peanut flavored condoms?
I honestly had the thought to myself, wow, now we have so many nut allergies. Like you were saying.
Yeah.
So funny. So Garret his mother was the daughter of a Baptist minister, and she was of Indian and African descent. So I think he was, like, they mentioned it being mixed race, but like, I don't know if one of the mixed race was white. He did seem to be pretty dark skinned. I might have had one. I was like, should I include one picture on these people?
Yeah.
And probably I do have 1 or 2 pictures, but did I put them on the drive yet? I don't know, Kelsey. I don't know. That was earlier. Ooh, that was the drive. Here we go. I did make a sort of folder that just said new folder. That's what we do. Okay, let's put him up there. There, he might be in there. 3 files. Well, that's not very many. Okay. All right. Either way, I think if I might have only found one photo of him, and he was pretty dark skinned. But what is debated is whether or not his father, Sidney, was a free man that was free since 1863 and was also the son of a Confederate colonel, John Hunt Morgan. So that would have been a white guy, fighting on the side of the South. So it has been debated whether that's true or not. Maybe that just gives people more of a dramatic, like, oh, he had a white Confederate colonel for a daddy, but like
he can help that.
Yeah. So many biracial children from, like, master / enslaved person. 6. I don't know what else you want to call it. Rape, maybe. I hope it wasn't that for this. But, like, yeah, we're not sure if if his father was Sidney Morgan. Wikipedia would tell you that he's born too old for that to be the case. But it also had some fun tidbits about his life, like his hemp farming history and how his second wife came down with a condition that was called milk leg.
What?
And she had to have it amputated, and that sounded gross.
Ew.
I know, I'd never heard of milk leg before, honestly. I hadn't.
No.
I don't even know. It was something weird.
We
probably have a better name for it now. Honestly, it was there. Maybe I just didn't want to get too in the weeds because I just get so hung up on the weirdest details. He was married first to a lady named Madge Nelson from 1896, to 1898, and then to a lady named Mary Hassick from 1908 to 1963. So that was his love of his life. You look horrified.
No, I was just yawning.
Oh no, I thought you were reading about milk leg.
No.
I was like, oh dear. Okay. Um, he had 3 children with his second wife, Mary. So he had Cosmo Henry Morgan, Garret Augustus Morgan Jr., and John Pierpont Morgan. Also, I was like, isn't Henry Morgan the name of Dexter's father, maybe? Or Harry?
Yeah. Oh, I think Harry.
I do think they might be the same because I've heard them refer to Prince Harry as having his birth name being Henry, which I was like, whoa, didn't even know that.
Oh. Not
I
like
know, right?
Harold or something? I would have thought Harold.
Right? Yeah, why would Harry be a nickname for Henry? I don't get nicknames sometimes.
Yeah, same.
They're very weird. So, yeah, they had 3 beautiful children, and then he started inventing things. In his later years, he invented the 3-way traffic light and something that was like an early form of the gas mask. And he was also known to have called himself the Black Edison, which I thought was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Right. Like Idris Elba and him being like, I'm Black Superman in that one movie. It's probably one of the Fast and Furious. So, I guess this should have gone back a bullet or two. He had moved to Cincinnati for work as a teenager. He had elementary school education and then paid for private tutors to try and continue his learning. Early on, he had learned to sew and then obtained a patent for an improved sewing device and then opened his own repair business. That's when he married his second wife, Mary Hassick, but she was unfortunately excommunicated by her family from the Catholic Church because she was white, so they didn't like that, or at least her parents didn't, which forced her siblings to have to visit her in secret because she married a black man or whatever. I know. He stumbled upon a solution that was like an early hair straightener of sorts. Kind of fun.
Oh.
And that was when he was working with a sewing machine still. I love these accidental inventions. They're the best.
Yeah. Like,
I'm
sewing
do
clothes.
this.
Oops, I accidentally straightened hair.
Yeah.
What?
I was trying to fix heart disease and then my penis kept popping up. So I think I invented Viagra. Yeah. I think that's one of my favorites or something. So he gets this idea from a woolen fabric that had been scorched by a sewing machine needle, which apparently was common at the time due to the high running speeds of the machines. So then he experiments with the chemical? I don't know. Chemical solution to help reduce friction from the needle and notices the hairs of the fabric go straighter. He then tests out the solution on his dog and himself. So he really made sure.
Leave the dog alone.
Well, he's just doing his hair. Straightening the dog's hair. But
like a relaxer, then I guess.
I think so, yeah. It did remind me, I had listened to a podcast recently where one of the segments was on people that's like self-experimented with their projects on themselves. I think it was a night classy one. It was really interesting. Well, couldn't get anyone else to try it on, so I'm gonna try it on myself.
Yeah.
But like that is kind of his first foray into inventing. He tests this fabric thing out on his dog's hair, his own hair, straightens it out. He makes a bit of money from it. So he then experiments with a prototype safety hood is usually what they call the first part. It's to help fire department, people mitigate smoke, gas, other things they have to inhale, and is a precursor to like the first World War I gas mask kind of thing.
Huh.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And he had to hire, I guess, a white dude to kind of ask as like a ghost writer, inventor person, because racism and
yeah,
to get
he
it
was
to
probably
sell.
the spokesman. Yeah.
I don't know. It said then he disguised himself as a sidekick called Big Chief Mason. And I was like, so then you were like, I'm a Native American. Oh no. But apparently it worked. So this was all a precursor to him working up to inventing some bigger things, working up to like the traffic light. So he was actually the first Black man in Cleveland to own a car ever. So crazy.
Good for him. He must have had money at that point.
Oh yeah, right? Like that's
Yeah.
quite the accomplishment to be like, I was the first Black guy to have a car here.
Can you imagine all the white people been like driving around, and then you see him drive past in his car too, and you just go, fuck.
The music playing, yeah, I can just
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I got a car too.
I know, I hear like Snoop Dogg. Yeah. But like he's so good at everything he picks up. So he's fixing up cars, car parts, belt fasteners, and anything mechanical at all. He's tweaking and making better and whatever.
Yeah.
It's so impressive. He develops a friction drive clutch, which don't even know. I know what a clutch is, but I can't drive automatic. So
yeah.
Then finally in 1923, he adds a new signal on the traffic light that is a third signal to warn of an impending stop or an impending red light. Because he'd seen a crash at a high collision location nearby his house, and it inspired him. Like, why not we have a third thing that tells us when it's going to go red to green?
I think we need, at this point, we need a fourth thing, or we need to make the third one longer.
Yeah.
Because it still feels too sudden.
Some people just don't know what to do. You're like, no, that's your chance to, you either speed up if you think you can make it, or you slow down because you can't.
Yeah. Like, you're supposed to not slam on your brakes and get rear-ended.
No.
It's means that you can proceed while it's still safe to do so into the intersection.
Exactly. It's like none of them are even watching to see if it's going to become yellow. Like it's all about being prepared. Yeah. And then I think of a little bit the Gravity Falls episode where Grunkle Stan is like, yellow lights mean speed up. Like sometimes it's the better than slamming on your brakes if the person behind you is going to be like,
in wintertime.
Exactly.
Especially in wintertime. You could get yourself rear-ended every 5 minutes slamming on your brakes at every yellow light like that.
No. Yeah. Everybody sucks. So he then got patents for this three-way traffic light in the UK, the US, and Canada, and then sold the rights to General Electric for about $40,000 at the time, which is probably pretty good.
Damn. Yeah.
I was like, get you some. And so smart. Despite his later failing health, it said he also invented a self-extinguishing cigarette, which contained a sort of water pellet just before the filter that would, like, I guess, put it out, but I've never, like, seen them employed in day-to-day everyday smokes. It sounds interesting, though.
Interesting.
Like, damn.
I mean, he's trying to make the world safer. Making, like, traffic safer, and then trying to make, like,
right?
I was gonna say smoking safer, but
Well,
it's still not good health-wise, but I mean...
Yeah, he's one of those type of people. Like the person at Volkswagen that came up with the seatbelt and then was like, well, I can't just keep this for myself. This is a good safety measure for everyone. And that's like the way I wish people would be about every invention that we need. Like, oh, sorry, you came up with a cure for cancer, but you won't make money off it? Too bad. Patent it anyway. Everybody needs it. Like, you will get the like recognition you deserve or whatever. Ugh. Speaking of recognition you hope they deserve, let me finish up the story. His heroic deed next came in the form of what was called the Cleveland Tunnel Explosion, or disaster. In 1916, a new tunnel was being built under Lake Erie, I guess, or a portion of it, which I know sounds really dangerous to me, but I don't know. Like it said they were being excavated for a fresh water supply when they hit a pocket of natural gas. So this trapped workers underground, and Garret and his brother put on their masks and went in. So he had that safety mask that was a prototype.
Yeah.
Using that to breathe the terrible air in underground, they were able to save 2 lives and retrieve 4 bodies from the tunnel using their safety hoods. Really, almost a miracle. Yet instead of being commended, the reveal that this black man was the one that was selling all these products that people liked, it actually hurt their sales because, being heroic while black or whatever.
Yeah. He went in there and risked his life to save your lives, but
He's black and I've been buying his stuff. Yeah, it's just, oh my god, terrible. He was nominated for a Carnegie Medal, but he did not win it, nor did his brother get any recognition in their lifetime either. Sadly. He was an early member of the NAACP, active in the Cleveland Association of Colored Men, donated to black colleges, opened an all-black country club, and invested heavily in his own son's education. He was really cool. Yeah. He got glaucoma in 1943 and lost a lot of his sight, and he had other health issues at this time at the end of his life, and they were likely somewhat to do with the toxins inhaled during the disaster of the tunnel, or so he figured, but,
yeah.
Like someone's going to check him out and actually confirm that, right?
I think it'd be pretty hard, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Pardon me. Right before he passed, he was given an honor by the government for his inventions. At the time, he was 86, and he had just about almost made it to see the celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation Centennial in Chicago. So he didn't make it to that, but that was like the anniversary of when Abraham Lincoln, is that a name? Lincoln issued the preliminary proclamation to kind of release all enslaved people, but it was just in the states that were currently engaged in rebellion against the Union. So it was basically like, we release all the people from the southern states in the Confederacy. Yeah. I was like, okay. But nowadays, Garret Morgan is buried at Lakeview Cemetery along with President James Garfield, the leader of the Untouchables, Elliot Ness, and John D. Rockefeller. And in 2005, he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in Akron, Ohio. And they have even named the Garret Morgan School of Engineering and Innovation in Cleveland after him. So it's very cool.
Nice.
I know. The first guy it took so long to talk about that I was like, I couldn't fit other people. But very briefly, I touched on a cool inventor woman who helped invent the first security system. It was a black lady named Marie Von Britton Brown.
Nice.
Yeah, this is quite shorter, just because we're running a little bit late. She was born on October 22nd, 1922 in Queens, New York. She was a nurse whose husband was also an electronics technician. So I think he helped, and that's why they call her the co-inventor of the security system. But they lived in Queens where the police presence was slow and very unreliable in their neighborhood. So she often felt unsafe when home alone at night because they were like working shift work and not home at the same time. Obviously, still a problem today. So she had helped devise a camera device that she could see on a monitor from her like bedroom and because it was that type of camera, she's also credited with inventing the first closed circuit TV, which was in
Okay.
1966. Yeah, it's like
Damn.
way back farther than I thought. And oh shit. Okay. Yeah, there was one picture that showed how like complicated not complicated, but for us maybe now it looks a little complicated that the device was. Oh, did I get it up there? Folder upload. I can see it. Suggested files. Like prototype pictures, kind of crazy looking. New folder. There we go. I'm uploading something that's called new folder. Maybe I already did that. Already exists. Okay, never mind. There's one that's called Marie Von Britton Brown that shows a diagram of the system. Anyway, it was the basis for a two-way communication and surveillance features of a modern security system, and involved 3 peepholes, which were at different heights in the door, I guess because it was like one for tall people, one for average height people, and one for like if a child was to come up to the door, like different height peepholes. And the camera slid up and down a track that allow it to see through all the different peepholes that then projected wirelessly to a monitor in whatever room she was in. And the two-way speaker allowed them to talk to the person at the door and then either press a button to either call the cops or just to open the door. So it was very much like,
damn,
like
that's
what
like
a
what we
modern
have
security
today.
system is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You're
wild.
like, okay. In 66, I know. She filed a patent in August of that year titled Home Security System Utilizing Television Surveillance, and then it was approved on December 2nd, 1969. Then won them an award from the National Scientists Committee in an interview with the New York Times. And it said it took off from there. It kind of laid the foundation for, quote, later security systems that make use of its features, such as video monitoring, remote controlled door locks, push button alarm triggers, instant messaging to security providers and police, as well as two-way communications or comms.
Yeah, that's like
Crazy.
everything. Like what
Right.
did they add? What if they added to this in like 60
Right.
years? Like she
Yeah, the
perfected it on the
basic
first try.
idea kind of remains the same. It's just like it seems like our technology of how to
Yeah.
like monitor it
It's
and
like,
stuff
oh,
has
what do you
gotten
want to
so
do?
much
You want to
better.
contact the cops, you want to unlock the door, you want to talk to
I
the person, you want to see
know.
them on the screen. She just like hit everything and it was like, okay, well, like how
I
sure we
know.
can
I
make
was like, wait.
the signal stronger, but like what did you ever do that she didn't do on the first try?
It's certainly
Damn.
not like that episode of Friends we're watching where Joey's like, "You're gonna move it across the street? We can use the cup thing." And you're like, "No, Joey, we have
Yeah.
phones now." Yeah, it's just, but yeah, I can't believe how far back the initial idea went. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like it's so much more
It's
modern.
yeah, like I
Right.
would if you had told me, "Oh yeah, like it'll send a radio frequency to her room and she can hear it on the
Telegraph.
radio."
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, okay, cool. But then you're like, oh yeah, now she can
Yeah.
unlock the door. Now she can alert the cops. Now she can
I
talk back to him.
know.
And I was like, holy shit. Like I can do
Oh,
everything.
and look at the there's kind of like a diagram, which was maybe one of the only reasons I wanted to put any pictures up. If you look now, it kind of was like it shows like the people from the door, and then it's like pointing arrows to all the way to the bedroom or the room the person is that can monitor it. And I was just like, this looks like so complicated back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah, like I feel like this is crazy.
Oh yeah. It's obviously gotten so much more complex, but according to the articles, some of her more simple rudimentary systems are still used, basically the same way by small businesses, homes, apartments, and condos. And then
Yep.
kind of cute, one of her 2 kids, because she had Albert Jr. and Norma, her daughter Norma also became a nurse and inventor and followed in her mother's footsteps.
Nice.
And that's the story of, what was our first name? I said Marie died on February 2nd, 1999. Marie Von Britton Brown?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some, I didn't even get into all the, there was other female ones that I saw that I was like, oh, if I had the time to cover them. The first,
Yeah, I
Black
ran
female
across an
billionaire
entire
or
list
something.
that
Oh, totally.
had, I don't know, I think it was 10 or 11.
Ooh.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is too many.
Right? When you stumble upon the listicles where everything is super interesting, you're like, okay, maybe we'll have to do another episode.
Yeah. It's good.
I really enjoyed that too. Well, thanks for sticking with us. I know it probably took a little while, but yeah, I thought it was a really good one.
It'll be a long episode.
Yeah. Y'all love it. Well, let us know, and I don't know, until next week, I guess, keep it cryptic.
Yeah.